So now we're live.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Welcome to episode 19. 19 of Perspective Check. Had to double check, couldn't see the number, so I just had to. Hopefully, it's 19. Yeah, this is our next session. We have a new face at the table. This is Jim. He has a whole YouTube spiel thing. If you want to go ahead and do that for yourself, Jim.
I do YouTube things. I can be found at youtube.com/heathenjames.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Jim gets really mad about Star Wars and other stuff.
So far, yes, that's been my entire catalog.
That's actually
It's
the
just
entire
been bitching
channel.
about Star Wars.
Talking about how great Kingdom Hearts is and how horrible Star Wars is.
Oh god. We'll save that rant for later in the year.
Pretty sure the Last Jedi was the Kingdom Hearts of the Star Wars trilogy.
That's accurate.
Anyways,
So you're
So-
saying it's the best one.
we'll be doing a little introduction of Jim's character later on when the group comes across him.
Hopefully after like
That's
4
like a-
hours.
that's
Like,
like-
right
Yeah, hopefully we get to
When
you
they come
next
across
session.
Let's delay as much as we possibly can, guys.
Talk to every NPC. But yeah.
Shop for 9 hours.
Actually, I do not remember.
We are really good at shopping.
No,
where
avoid
we left
shopping
off.
because you could
Well,
be
luckily,
in a store.
You're about to find out where we left off.
On the last exciting
On the
episode.
last exciting episode of Dungeons and Dragon Ball Z. Our group of heroes, Nocturnum, after escaping Narc, when Vundris, a dragon that had taken on the form of Tiamat, appeared in the city laying waste, the group managed to escape to the elven city of Kelisari. And following a lead to find potential help, they went and found their Drake friend, Junla, and went to an ancient lost shrine to Bahamut. Upon arriving on the shrine, they found out some information about what was going on. They found out about the fact that when gods die in this world, their power is not lost, but merely scattered. And it appears that this dragon has gathered the lost power of Tiamat. And they gathered as well, possibly what this dragon's plan is, to gather as well the lost power of Tiamat. Or, not Tiamat, the lost power of Bahamut as well. To form together an ancient unknown god simply by the name of Aya, the father of chaos. Whose power was supposedly so great that his physical body was rent in two, leaving behind Tiamat and Bahamut. However, also tearing apart and creating the elemental planes of chaos. If this goal is achieved and that destruction was to be wrought in the physical plane, the world would end. So the group was told of a plan to find 5 ancient artifacts known as the Orbs of Dragonsbane, weapons used in the original fall of Tiamat. The creature that resided beneath the shrine with whom they were communicating told them that it knew of the location of one of these items, the black orb known as Acrid. They were told that they had to travel east into the Shadowdales, a land that is forever corrupted by the touch of the Shadowfell. And they are in search of an ancient battlefield where the battle still rages, where they will find a tower that once greeted the sun. The group left that shrine, teleported back to Kelisari, rested, gathered up some equipment to properly prepare themselves for the snow ahead, and from there casted a circle of teleportation and were lifted off their feet, headed for Varithna, a military town on the eastern front of Hothane next to the Shadowdales. And that was where we left off. Hey, Kaylee.
Hey, sorry I'm late, guys. There was a soup special I couldn't get to.
Thank you so much.
If there was anything that I couldn't blame you for.
As you all feel your feet lift up off the ground, feel that... No. You feel that same similar sensation being lifted, and after a moment, your feet gently touching back down to the ground. So you find yourselves in a small room, similar to the one you just left. However, light filters in through an open door, framing the silhouette of a man. As your eyes adjust, you get a better look at him. Alabaster skin with dirty blonde hair, the eclipsed sun that is the symbol of Verithma on his tabard. A pair of pale gray eyes looks upon all of you with a smile. Are you the Erato we were expecting?
Aye.
Please, come forward. As he kind of steps back into the room, you find yourselves in, similar to the Eldritch Conflux where you had just left from in Kelisari. It's a more simple, very much not ornate in decorations, very much more streamlined, kind of more fitting to the theme of Verithma from the last time that you were here. You see a handful of guards with weapons at hand, just watching as you enter into the room, but don't seem to immediately jump to attention, but are just keeping eyes trained on you. You see the man in more ceremonial armor than anything, turning to regard all of you. We were told to expect you. We heard from Calrin that these champions would be coming through. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lieutenant General Burial, commander of the forces here in Verithma and along the Shadowed Front. I believe that I know who all of you are, just from the tales that have been told, and know that you're welcome here within our city. I've received a full report from Calrin as to what the situation in Nark is. As champions who helped both save Kelisari and saved my king, you are more than welcome to continue to use this circle of teleportation as often as you would wish.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
If I might ask, do you come here on driven purpose? Do you come on some deed from Calrin that I'm not aware of, something to help in the war effort, or are you simply passing through?
We have no specific purpose given to us by Calrin. Just trying to figure out whatever we can do to help.
Well, if there's any assistance that my men or I can lend to you, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you for the offer.
Of course. But before you go, I have a question. You see him kind of reach into a pouch on his side. You see him pull out a sheet of parchment. Are you familiar with this man? And he holds a sheet out to you. And it is a wanted sign for Faye. Are you familiar with this man?
I'm an owl right now.
Oh, that's right, you're our now.
We are a little bit, yes. He used to travel with us. He's somewhat of a vagrant. Has left our party since, differing opinions of what the world was meant to be in this world.
Indeed. Are you aware of where he was headed when you last spoke with him?
I'm not sure. He disappeared quite quickly. I think he went up north.
Any mention of a destination?
He went to look for his brother who had left us previously. I don't know who his brother is.
Do you know his brother's name?
Master East.
And you see that he kind of nods. I'm sorry if this seems out of nowhere to be asking this. We have reports that this man is the one responsible for the murder of one of my men. And we had a witness come forward and identify who he was. And after hearing reports of what happened in Kelisari, more reports confirmed that this man holds that appearance. if you ever hear from Vesendithas as to where he is or where he may be going, if you would let us know, it would be greatly appreciated.
We will.
As I said, if you have any questions, any help that we can offer, don't hesitate to ask.
Absolutely.
But if you don't mind, I have business to attend to. I only wished to meet and greet you in person. And thank you.
May I ask you one question before you go?
Of course.
I know that much of the military here went south when the orcs were first starting to show up. How fares the city now?
You see, slight shift in his shoulders as he seems to not tense up, but there's a level of wariness to him. To be honest, the city is fine. The city is not in any danger. The lands along the front have struggled since then. We lost almost 500 men with them marching south, and the undead have been relentless in coming from the Dales. However, the winter offers reprieve to my men. Undead are not properly equipped to walk through feet of snow at a time, so it gives us time to regroup and reorganize, prepare for when spring comes again. Hopefully we will be able to offer the assistance necessary to march west to Nark when Calvin comes to call.
I think that I can speak for all of us when I say if you do need any aid from any able-bodied men like ourselves to get anything done, let us know.
I will keep that in mind. Any undead that you deal with would be greatly appreciated, but as for the moment, there are no specific tasks in mind. None of our villages that are along the lines have been heavily attacked. It's just the farmland in between that has come to danger. But if I have anything that comes to mind, I know who to call.
Alright, well, it was nice meeting you.
He kind of regards all of you, turns and walks out, and you're all kind of shown the way out of this building as well. As you start to walk through, you see that you're walking through this building, and there are torches inside lighting the room, lighting the halls as you go. The walls are almost obsidian black, and there's a deep gray flooring and flagstone underneath where you walk. As you eventually are led to the front gate, the doors open up, and a heavy wind whips forward and whips snow up into your eyes and stings. You almost have to kind of cover your faces. The biting cold managing to dig through even your heavy winter clothing. As you get used to the cold, step out, you look around. You see dark gray skies looming overhead as you look forward towards the 50-foot high gray walls surrounding the town, guard towers spread by less than 200 feet along the causeways. As you turn to look behind you, you see obsidian bricks leading towards high steepled towers. This is the Black Keep that you saw before in your last time here in Nebrithma. Gray flagstone streets lead out before you into the town, where you see simple homes. You see people walking in heavy bundles of fur, some working to clear the streets of the snow, many just hurrying along as quickly as possible to get out of this blizzard. Your gazes are all inevitably drawn to the east, where you see the looming black smog that rises up almost as high as you can see from the Shadowdales, leaving Verithma, and like the last time you were here, in an almost state of twilight, even at midday. What would you guys like to do?
Well, it's midday right now, you said?
It's like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Out of character. What's our goal here again?
We are to head we're heading south through the pass into the wildlands, and then heading along the mountains east until we find
Another temple.
essentially into the Shadowed Dales from there until we find a temple.
Oh, and
tower.
it has the dragon orb.
Correct.
A tower where the dawn meets the day or something that he said.
Alright, heading looking for a temple.
I
and
left
a shadow.
my normal notebook at home because I took it out when you guys were over. And I forgot to put it back in my bag.
One more thing. Also, I was fairly distracted by. Are there any? Are we private?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are kind of standing all bundled up in your heavy clothing. You see a handful of people walking by, but no one's really paying any mind to you.
I was a little distracted by that conversation. I didn't realize how serious of. Well, I didn't get the captain's name. I was a little distracted by his means of conversation with us.
Well, I don't think we have a particular issue with it now.
He's just asking what the guard captain's name is.
Oh, his name? It was Lieutenant General Burial.
General.
So, what do you guys want to do?
Well, I don't know if we have much to do here other than just head out.
Are there any last supplies we might be looking for?
So we have, do we have rations and stuff? Like,
I mean, yeah, you guys. I would have assumed packed up rations while you were in Kelisari.
no, we haven't really worried about that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We have rations. We have the equipment we need to traverse the snow. We have warm clothing. Do we see if we can find a map or a guide? Or, I mean, we can't take a guide with us. We're not supposed to show anybody where we're going.
It's very true.
Not to mention what kind of madman follows them into the Shadow Dales.
We're only
There's some
going
crazy
along
people
the
out there.
line of the Shadow Dales.
Anyway, so?
Yeah, I wonder what kind of a madman would be.
Shh. You're an owl. You're not supposed to speak.
I say that in owl.
I say that in owl.
Actually, when you're transformed, can you speak on it?
No. This isn't. Come on, man. This is
You see a few
fantasy
people
world.
turn and look as the owl is sitting on your shoulder, looking just directly at the side of your
This
head.
isn't a fantasy world where animals speak.
We had taken a
Unless you
long
have the right
rest and then teleported?
Correct.
Okay. So I am down.
You're down as
Twice.
well. Slide.
Perhaps we can see if we can find a map of some sort that at least give us the lay of the area. So while we're traveling.
I'm certain that there'll be some sort of a lay of. Well, this was an old tower, part of a wall, or not necessarily a wall, but more as a watchguard. They would have had some sort of record of what was.
Depends how easy the tower is.
True.
I can't remember. There was like a book / cartographer place in the city or something.
There was
I think I bought Mouse before, but I don't have that book with me.
Yeah, you had gone to there was the archives of this base. You know that the last time you were there, a lot of it is there are maps. A lot of it is things based off of military history, military strategy, very much more that type of thing. There's not a ton of history, and maps from what you remember were modern. There were some older ones, but you might be able to find something, you might not.
You guys think it's worth a try just to go look for a map?
Never hurts.
Perhaps if there's old military books, perhaps some mention of this tower would be made.
Well, here doesn't hurt.
So let's go there first then. I can't think of anything else to do.
So as you head off, not far from the Black Keep, it's kind of one of the off buildings that's inside the walls where the keep is.
I actually remember that. Right under the keep.
As you make your way there, remembering, like I said, remember where you were heading before. You walk in through the double doors. You see a couple lights inside. You don't really see anyone walking in or out. As you walk in through the front desk, you see this very simple library for the most part. I mean, it's pretty big in terms of it's like larger than a bookstore. but it doesn't look like there's no ornate decorations. It's not like the Arcane Citadel, or the last library you had just been in Arc. This is very much more bare bones. You don't really see too many people. You don't really see anybody walking around. You see that there are some candles lighting the room in here, but you're standing in the entranceway. You don't see anyone.
I just say, excuse me, is anybody here?
Hi, hold on just a minute. And you hear,
Wearing socks.
you see a ladder kind of slide into view as you see up on one of the shelves, a dwarf, gray hair, bald on top, his hair kind of curly around the sides, kind of a puffy white beard, standing up on a ladder, holding onto one edge, holding onto one of the rungs with a small shelf attached to the ladder with a handful of books. He slides into view. Hi, can I help you?
We were just we're looking for maps and books, and I just didn't want to just barge in without letting you know anybody the people are here.
Alright, if you're looking for maps, just head down that way on the third shelf. You'll find anything you might be looking for.
Oh,
Can't promise you'll find what it is, though.
It's worth a look.
He slides the ladder back out of view.
And I want to look for maps and then any sort of book that might have information about like strategic locations in the Wildlands or the Shadowdales. Like,
Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
What building?
it's 21.
This is called it's just the archives of this military town, essentially. I'm sorry, what was it? 21. Okay. So going over onto the shelves, kind of pouring through, looking through different tomes and scrolls, you see, you find the area that he was talking about where the different maps are. Kind of pouring over it, you see and find a few different maps regarding to the current layout of Hothane, where some of the different military bases are along these borders. You see that, kind of looking through, you see that handful that you kind of recognize some of the names on the map. Zolenberg being one of them. It appears that kind of flipping through and looking through some of the glossary that Zolenberg was once one of the greater military bases, but not so much. I think
That's pretty loud.
Loud as fuck.
It's always that part of the song that gets louder too.
It shouldn't be too loud on the actual stream. It's just I have the speakers turned up. But looking through the maps, you do see that there are. You don't find any that are depicting into what the Shadowdales are. You do find one that kind of catches you off guard a little bit. You see the map drawn and like the lines between the different countries of Astros, Osmid, and Hothane, and you see that you find one that it shows that there is only Osmid and Hothane. Hothane stretching all the way from north to south on this half of the continent. That doesn't look that old. I mean, and kind of depicting off of the year, this is maybe 150 years ago. Depicting the different borders before. Go ahead and make a history check.
That is a 26.
26. Okay. So, kind of looking at that, and it kind of jogs a little memory from your, from whenever you were younger, of your father talking about this. That apparently that once Astros was part of the country of Hothane, and there was a civil war that lasted a very long time. That ultimately left the two separated into two different countries. And you kind of have a trigger as to, and you kind of remember Calren talking about this, that whether or not Astros would help in this war effort, he wasn't certain of that, and that kind of jogs in your memory.
Not on the greatest terms.
But as for the actual map into the Shadowdales, you see that there are a few maps that depict what it might have once been, but it looks like it's more hypothetical as to where some of the lost civilizations and lost countries might have been in there, that there were different ruins, but you don't see anything. You see a couple marks of different towns that might be in the region of where you're heading to, but nothing in particular that really specifically strikes out in your mind.
Alright, well, I'm going to make like a quick sketch of just the layout of the terrain, just so we have a little bit of something to follow on.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you guys want to look for while you're here?
While he was looking through that, I guess I'll just start scouring through and looking for any information on things related to Vecna or the Book of Darkness.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
Natural 20.
Natural 20.
Oh.
Looking through, this doesn't seem like the kind of place that would have that type of information.
Figured I'd try. Forgot to the kill Slayer.
Yeah, you kind of flip through that. This is much more recent history, and a lot of the tomes that are here are actually just like scout reports and different battles and transgressions that happen along this front. This is much more history, localized history to what exactly happens on this front, not
Sex
so much
stories.
ancient history. None of that. But
Super seduce.
so, anything else you guys want to do?
I didn't find anything too great amongst the maps. Just I made a quick sketch of just the area, but we pretty much know our directions already. I don't know if we're going to find anything else, if this is all just strategic logs and such.
Yes, it seems to be much more current rather than from the past.
Shall we move on? Where do we go now? Do we just leave the city, or do we have any other destinations here?
I can't say we wanted to stay in this town very long.
Yes. I know that there was quote-unquote rumors about vampires and such before. I don't think I want to get involved at the moment, though. It seems counterintuitive to what we're doing right now.
Vampires.
Yes, there was
Rumors of some sort of aberration.
accusations. There was a little hall from Bloodhunters Guild that had many different ramblings and scribblings about different accusations about people being monsters and things. And one of them we found was accusing the one of the heads here, head families here, of being a vampire. I can't remember her name because I don't have my notes.
Well, I will say, how quickly do we need to move to this tower?
As soon as possible, I think. I mean, every second that we waste is another second that dragon's probably killing people.
Certainly. We also have all of winter, and leaving. You say this vampire was a high official.
Yes, well, it was an accusation. We didn't get a chance to investigate because of circumstances, but
Yes, well, we are also a tow now. We can meet with anybody we'd like. Or
Alright,
well,
so
I should say that you are now.
it would seem rather suspicious if we just randomly met with somebody, though.
Can we at least find out if this person who was accused is still in power?
We could probably even ask somebody around the town, perhaps an innkeeper or something.
Yes, well, from the Lieutenant General's small bit of report about undead being at least an issue before, having an undead official leading the people here in town without their knowledge could prove to be a little backwards. I'd be curious to see if this person is at least still in power, even if we don't do anything.
We could look into it.
both of you go ahead and roll investigation checks. Also, you would have learned, because he doesn't have his notes, the person's name was Peloton Romdul.
I got a 27.
I think was that an investigation?
Yeah.
20. Just 20.
20? Okay. So, both of you asking around, yes, you very quickly learn, just kind of stopping in, you stop in at one of the nearby taverns, and just asking around, you find that she is still one of the prominent merchant families here. She is a dark elf that resides here in the city, and she's one of the prominent merchant families. Seems very much still to be very active in the community. Puts a lot of money into Verithma. Yeah.
I mean, this was just, we saw scribbling on a board. We don't know if anything is true yet. It was just, I mean, we've already discussed what happened, but yes.
You found it important enough to mention.
Yes. I mean, especially the people that went with us originally, we should at least know the information. What's going on here? We could, I mean, I don't know where else to go really to look into it. That Blood Hunters Hall was abandoned when we left, and bad things happened there, so I don't know if I'll wish to return to it.
So, what do you guys want to do?
Anybody else have an opinion? Head out or get more information about what's going on here?
Is there anything here that is of any interest or importance to us? Even?
It's a smaller town, so smaller than Kelisari. Anything we wanted we probably got there.
It's not even really a town. It's more like a base, yeah.
We should head out and make a point to not talk to anybody.
Billy,
He
even
says,
you
"Ow."
Yes, we really shouldn't
Yeah,
feel
really,
it.
they
you
don't
feel
really
it's the-
suspect anything. Just you don't need to stay up here.
especially any edgy
Could all
looking
be
Cody, it
characters.
is a military base.
Don't talk to any
essentially,
edgy
yeah.
looking characters.
I mean, yeah, I
Especially
mean,
those
kind
that
of
are townsfolk and like people who live here. just
Yeah.
Civilians.
Yeah, this is like this is essentially like a military base with the town kind of in conjunction. So like there are people that live here for safety, and there are nearby farms. But this Verithma is primarily a military base. This is the base of operations for all defenses along the Shadow Dales for Hothane.
Well, I suppose we could. If we couldn't find maps, we could at least possibly speak to people who might know. Or have researched this themselves before we leave, so we have at least a semblance of an idea of what we might potentially be walking towards, or what we might be looking for, roads or anything.
I mean,
We just don't want to give too much information away about what we're doing.
out of character, what are we? I know what are we? We're looking for orcs, but do we have any pinpoint accuracy as far as like where exactly these are going to be? This one's going to be located.
We have a general vicinity, and we know that it's a tower that greeted the sun. So it's potentially just a really tall tower along this stretch, but we don't have any more information to
Because
go.
essentially we were to go into the wildlands and then head along the mountains towards the Shadow Dale. And it should be around the border.
We should be able to see this.
Supposedly.
In the middle.
If you transform into a giant eagle and fly around, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm not quite sure how we're going to see it through all the snow if it's currently storming.
That doesn't just storm 24/7, right?
Not constantly, but it snows a lot.
Yeah.
Obscures the vision.
Perhaps we can talk to somebody in the military and see what they know about at least the wildlands. What we can expect on the other side of the pass.
Well, we know generally what we're looking for. We can ask general questions. They don't need to know specifically where we're going.
Get general answers.
That's all we're looking for is a little more something. We know nothing about where we're headed, only a direction.
Alright, so let's ask somebody then. We don't have to find the Lieutenant General again.
Yeah, he's probably the best guy to talk to.
It's true.
Let's head towards his office then.
Stranger. He offered his help.
So you guys head back towards the Black Keep, popping in, asking. About 15-20 minutes pass. You guys are kind of waiting, waiting just kind of in the center of the keep, just kind of waiting, like where you see a handful of 9 to 5 scribes walking around. You guys are eventually called into one of the side rooms where you see a large wooden desk, very ornately carved symbols of Dol Dorn and Dol Arad, both carved into the front of the desk. Shelves with maps of the region, of some drawn in very closely around the different bases that are along here. Some depicting on the northern edges of the wildlands, some depicting just directly along, leading up as far north as Tandir. You see sitting behind the desk, Marion. He says, how can I help you? I thought that we had covered everything, but is there anything I can help you with?
We're just seeking a little bit of information about the wildlands. Perhaps what one would expect in the wildlands.
Well, from what the reports from our scouts say, after Shagra's defeat in Kalaseri, some 4,000 or 5,000 orcs still managed to escape from the chaos, some fleeing into the forest, many fleeing back towards the mountains and back into the wildlands, passing through Margul Pass and scattering into the lands beyond. The wildlands themselves are full of goblins, barbarians, orcs, giants, many unsavory creatures, the likes. Very dangerous. Why, are you heading there yourselves?
We're just looking into some information about it. We're thinking about possibly heading there. Perhaps we can find some sort of lost power or something that can help us against this dragon. People haven't been there for a long time, right?
I can just have to check.
23. 21. 22. It's 22. That's what it is. I have math.
22?
Yeah.
Okay. He says, I don't know what lost powers you would find there, but there have been many civilizations that have risen and fallen, many tribes and many orc and barbarian empires that have attempted to rise up and stretch beyond the wildlands, but I don't know what you'll find, but I wish you luck. In terms of fortresses or any type of landmarks you might find, most of them are very far south, very far into the wildlands, closer towards the moors that are in the southwest, near where the trolls reside, but don't know of anything else in particular, anything that might guide you or lead you for something in particular.
I don't think we have a particular purpose.
Any words of advice when traveling through here that you can give us?
Traveling through the wildlands, keep your wits about you. Goblins, well, most people don't give them credit, can be tricky and sneaky if they manage to... Not doing that because of the article. But if you're not careful, they'll surround your camp and leave you with no escape route. Just keep your wits about you. If you're traveling through those lands, it'd be dangerous.
Is it being winter? Is there anything that we should be on the lookout for other than the obvious precautions taken during this time of year?
Frost giants, perhaps.
Frost giants, yes, absolutely. You might also perhaps run into remoras, creatures of snow that have mastery and control over breathing fire. They are wild creatures that live in those lands, love to ambush patrols and catch people unaware. Might also run into yetis or other such creatures that thrive in this time of year, but...
Well, thank you. That's more information than we could ask for, I think. Nice. Have a good day, and thank you.
You guys part ways with the general.
Oh, do we head out?
Well, I suppose our purpose is vaguely clear.
Nice. So we head south.
So, south it is. As you put on your boots that you purchased at Alaris's, Lune begrudgingly slipping into them, you all begin to make your way out through the southern gates of the city. You pass through. The gates are closed. You have to wait for them to open up the gates for you to pass through, but they don't question you leaving. As you begin to make your way out, within less than 100 feet of the gates, the roads are not cleared, and you find yourselves beginning to walk into and through about 3.5 to 4 foot high snow. With your boots on, you cautiously begin to step into the snow, and you feel your feet not sink the whole way through, but seeming to almost step on. Feels like almost like walking on stone. You begin to start to walk through, and you manage to get to about a little bit over knee-high snow as you begin to step and walk along the top of the snow. You pull out one of the lacrimas and heat it up. It provides warmth. It doesn't stop the cold wind, but it does make it much more tolerable than just dealing with this, than just the regular cold weather.
The boots need attunement?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna get out of my owl form then.
Okay. As
Put
you
my boots on.
you shift through, and you even with your stature, it's only about it's only like partway up your shins. As all of you, and just for the purposes of this, so you know, when traveling through snow, this is difficult terrain.
Okay.
So you guys, well, yeah, that's cool and that works for you. Except the rest of your group is still slowed down by this. So
you're like Legolas prancing around on the snow.
So you slowly begin to trudge south, heading further and further towards the mountains in the south. Pass through. Stop it. You pass through farmland. You pass by small homes where you can see burning chimney stacks, and you guys might stop at one or two along the way just to get yourselves out of this cold weather. But over the course of the next 2 weeks, you travel across essentially very uneventful landscape.
Throughout some of those nights, I would ask to see some of my books from the bag of holding and read them at night.
Okay. You retrieve some of the books. I assume you're not going to stop him from getting his books.
No.
You must pay the soup pool.
Okay.
We make a delicious soup with one of them.
Yeah, one of the nights you try your hand at cooking some soup. Go ahead and just roll me an intelligence check.
It is a 16.
16?
Yes.
So you kind of reaching into the bag of holding and pulling out the soup book, flipping through. try a nice mushroom soup. Throw in some spices, cut up some of the mushrooms, mix them up, heat, bring your water to boiling. Try it. It's pretty good soup. It's not +1 soup, but it's pretty good soup.
I'll work on it.
Good job, Fenrir. You're really,
I go
really
and
coming
spread
along.
it throughout the party.
You all have a nice,
Boys,
warm,
you gotta try
warm
this
dinner.
A nice warm soup, brewed by yours truly. Please enjoy.
You've come a long way, Fenrir.
Do you plan on
In these
opening?
2 days that we've been talking about soup.
Does this man have no weaknesses?
I owe it to Sindal's books.
Are you going to open up a shop? Are you, when we get back, are you going to have a soup shop?
That's retirement during this.
We'll see about that one. We'll see. I do like soup, but I don't know if I like soup that much.
Don't seem like a person who would stay in one place for too long, honestly.
So, as you guys continue traveling south, you, one day in later afternoon, and you guys have a kind of a hard time tracking actual daylights. It seems as if in the shadows of the Shadow Dale, you only really get the twilight hours of the day. The sun is kind of blocked through pretty much all the morning into the later afternoon. You don't get until the sun is well past the Dales. You're really only catching...
Do I have a compass from a long time ago?
I don't know, do you?
I have a compass from a long time ago.
You bought a compass?
Yeah, I bought a compass from, I think from Rigby's, not Rigby, but Vemby's dad, I think. But,
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
Is
I
it
think I have a spell that helps with shit like this.
in your inventory?
my inventory's not here.
And as of right now, you do not have that compass.
I'm positive he has a compass.
I mean, you're not losing your directions. You know which direction you're heading. But as you're walking along, it's later in the evening, and you begin to see in the distance, or over the next couple of days, you begin to see in the distance the growing mountains of the seawall mountains stretching along the wildlands. And you know your destination. There's a large valley between the gaps in the mountains. That is where your destination will be, where you will then head east into the into the Shadow Dales. I want everyone to go ahead and roll perception checks.
$19.
Do you want Luda to roll on it?
Just you.
16.
So what was yours, Arn?
19.
Albert?
20.
24. 21.
So, all of you will have to see. As you come into this valley, the wind is whipping up the snow. It's not snowing at this moment, but there's a very harsh wind coming through this valley, kicking up snow into your faces, kind of obscuring your vision. As you walk along, you come to a small copse of trees, and you see, coming closer to them, hanging from the trees, long, frozen corpses, skeletons. As you draw a little bit closer to them, you look at the garb and you see some of them are dwarves, some of them are humans, wearing tabards and markings of Sigil Star and Berithma.
How fresh do they look?
Make a medicine check. I mean, they look old,
Aren't
but
they
make a
skeletons?
medicine check.
I was gonna say, aren't they skeletons?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not.
Well, we don't know if they're freshly picked at or mummified. Medicine?
Medicine.
That is another 20.
Another 20. These are long picked clean. And just based off of the directions, you're probably close to the location where the battle happened between the dwarves and the soldiers from Berithma and Sigil Star. the ones that came south and were ambushed by the orcs. They thought they were coming down to deal with a small incursion. Chagra's 20,000 orcs crushed them. You get the idea that this might be... You might be close to that region.
Do we know if the tower is also close to this area?
You
I
know...
don't really know anything about this town.
You know that this battle happened in the Wildlands. You know that the tower is in the Shadowdales.
Oh, okay, so we're not remotely close there yet.
Just a quick look. Do any of them look like the body of the man that we met in the inn that was the commander of the troops from Sigil Star?
Make an investigation check.
It's 23.
23. Looking over them, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's mostly just skeletons. You see that there are some human. You see a couple humans that are in markings of Sigil Star, kind of using that as your gauge. But you don't see anything particular that would have him stick out to you. While you're kind of looking over these, Sindal kind of bundling up and looking in the distance, you see probably maybe 300 or 400 feet off, you can see, looks like light. Take a moment and getting a better look at it. You can see that there is, it looks like fire, some knockdown tents, some ruins, and black smoke.
I believe that there's company up ahead. There's a campfire.
Campfire?
All of you turn to look. It doesn't look like a campfire. It looks like there's like
just-
a large,
Oh,
like a large tent that has smoke coming up from it.
Oh, like that. Okay.
Perhaps there's somebody that was guarding the border that was attacked. Maybe we should check it out. Let's go.
Keep a low profile.
I mean,
Okay.
Could we tell what the tents look like? Does it look?
You're very far off, and it's kind of dark
it's
at this
kind of in the
point.
direction we're going anyway.
It's further into the wildlands. I mean, it's not super far off. It's like it's
super cute goggles.
It's like a tent with like a chimney coming out of it.
Make a perception check.
I can see very far away.
No, you can't. Make a perception check.
24.
Brahm, as you have been coming through the snow, making your way in this direction, you see somewhat further off a small ruined small ruined camp, tent, billowing black smoke. And you've been following some of your quarry, the ones that we talked about. You saw them come and stop here. Make a perception check.
Nine.
9. Camp's maybe 200 feet off from where you are. You hear behind you voices. Muffled and distorted because of the wind, but you can't tell exactly what's being said. But you do hear
It
distinctly.
was actually a 13. I did math wrong.
Okay.
But
You see in the distance in the camp 3 of these forms moving around. But you hear voices from behind you. What do you want to do?
what direction are the voices coming from behind me? What's behind me relative to...
So the camp is
The
in front
camp's
of you.
in front
You're
of me.
essentially between the two.
Okay.
You hear the voices maybe 150 feet off. You can just kind of hear muffled
So if I
whispers.
look back in that direction, do I see anything?
Yeah, kind of looking back in that direction, you can see some of the silhouettes as well as a few lights amongst them. A few forms. Can't really tell exactly who, like, what they look like or anything, but you see one person that appears to be riding on some kind of horse. And then several other
How
people.
far am I from the ruins?
About 200 feet.
Okay. I'm gonna try to hide and observe them.
Okay, go ahead and make a stealth check. 18. So, Lily, you see, kind of looking in the direction of the camp, kind of focusing your goggles, looking in that direction. You see, can't make out the exact details, but you see 3 kind of shadowed forms in the camp, large, kind of moving around between the buildings, kind of disappearing and reappearing, moving between things. You see maybe 150 feet out in front of you what looks like a man with well equipped, wearing several pieces of wearing armor and having several weapons, kind of looking in your direction and very quietly slinks off into the nearby copse of trees.
Could I tell that it looks like he's hiding from us, or he's stalking the figures in the camp?
You saw him turn and look in your group's direction and look back towards that, and he slunk off.
So I'll tell the group that I see these 3 figures in the camp far off, but there's a 4th person who I believe has spotted us, and he is now in hiding over in that direction.
He didn't head back towards the camp.
No.
Perhaps a forward scout or an ambush? Only one man wouldn't stand a chance, though.
Yeah, it could possibly be. Surely it can't be some man out here on his own. So it must be one of the somebody helping out these people in this camp. Kind of a lookout.
They might have a camp nearby as well.
Should kill all of them.
What? We should go and check the situation out and then make a decision from there.
This other one spotted us, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
Sure.
One of them.
You saw
He
him
might
go
be.
over?
Yep.
Perhaps he was one of the people that was in the tents when they got attacked, and he's escaped.
What did he look like he was doing? Was he fleeing? Was he headed towards them?
Could I really have determined that he was maybe stalking the creatures in the camp before?
No.
He
You spotted him looking at the camp. He turned to look at you, and then he moved in towards the trees. There's no way of determining intent from that.
There's no way for me to determine that.
There's no way.
I think we need to move quickly.
That's fair.
Well,
Because there could be people that are dying in that camp still.
it didn't.
Wait, does the camp actually look like it's under attack, or? Is
There is a large, what looks like a large tent or like a structure of some kind billowing black smoke right now.
But I only see 3 figures. It doesn't look like.
Okay, so that probably all right.
There's no struggle going on.
Doesn't appear so.
So where am I at?
You're so in between where they are, so they were like further back up into the valley a little bit, and you're a little ways down the path ahead of them, and there's a small group of trees, and you kind of hit off in those trees, and you're looking, and you see them conversing, and you make a perception check.
19.
You see 1 or 2 kind of point in the direction towards where you are, but you see you really can't tell exactly what they're saying.
So
They're
I can
too
probably
far off.
surmise that they've seen me.
You could probably make that assumption.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I'll wait there. Now, is there? Do I hear anything coming from the camp? Since I'm closer than them.
You can hear. Not really. You can still see the shadowed forms moving.
Okay.
But it's pretty quiet for the most part.
How far? Am I still actively watching? Could I be actively watching him, knowing that he's
Or am I hidden from them?
slunk off? Or can I not see him now?
Because you don't have dark vision, you saw where he went into the woods, but you don't know exactly where he is, with it being kind of dark at this time of day.
I think we need to go and check it out. So we'll see what's going on with the man in the trees. Be prepared to fight if need be, and then go check out that camp and see if anybody's still alive.
You want to check out the trees of the dead people?
No, the ones the man went into.
Isn't this the same area as the camp? Why am I confused?
I think
Yeah. So there's the camp about 400 feet out ahead of you.
Okay.
And then Lily saw one person that was kind of standing in the path looking in the direction of that, looked back at you in between where you guys were, and you saw him, or Lily saw him go into the trees. And they're talking about going to see what this man is about, and Zion going
So
to
there's
the
like
camp.
a camp, and then off to the side,
I
there's
thought
like
we
a
came
tree
up
line.
on like a tree line like this, and these are where the bodies were hanging like
Mhm.
that, and we
And
were
then-
like here, and then in here was the woods. Yes, and then in here is like a camp.
Right, and then in between.
So
Here,
in
here.
between
So-
here,
The trees were along where you get, like, the trees are lining the path through this valley, essentially.
okay.
You saw the trees and the corpses hanging up in the trees as you continued further into the valley,
Okay.
seeing
On the
them still
side.
scattered
Okay.
on the on the sides as you go.
Okay.
Further down the path, you see this camp.
Okay. I didn't realize
On
there
the-
was so
on
there's
the
like
path.
a pathway, and on the side there's
You saw him
trees.
duck off to the side.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Or Lily saw him duck off to the side. The rest of
I
you
think
looking in that
this-
direction
this is
don't
just a-
see.
I pictured
Exactly where he
fields,
was.
so that helps.
Well, just in case, I suppose that I will just go invisible.
All right, stick with us.
I'll be close.
So we're gonna go check out this shifty character.
It's going to be pretty obvious where I'm walking, honestly.
Can I send Lunay off on her own to kind of investigate and telling me what she sees?
I mean, yeah, if you want to send her out ahead of you guys, yeah.
I don't think we have time to scout. If there's people in that camp that are being hurt or killed, I think we need to move quickly.
Never mind. Actually, I'm not going to do that.
So, as you all begin moving forward,
I cast greater invisibility on myself.
okay, so you're invisible for the next minute, correct?
Is that only a minute?
It's
Yeah, greater invisibility is only a minute. Regular
should we go
invisibility is an
hour. Yeah, I'm gonna wait a minute then. Wait a little.
Okay.
Until we walk forward more because it takes
So-
a long time to walk.
As the five of you begin moving forward, I need the five of you to make stealth checks.
Visibility.
Actually, make one for Korak as well. Stealth checks for everyone. Remember,
Is there just that?
yeah.
16.
Hold on, I gotta find where my number's at.
6.
18.
And you're not in your owl form anymore, are you? Nope.
No, that was 2 weeks ago.
The one that caught you, saw you, is the one that you're gonna see the most.
10 for me
And yes, she has adorable
4
fox
for
ears.
Lunay.
Okay? You and Korak.
13
I
for
could use
me
luck to reroll.
and a
Recharges when you sleep.
Hold on 1 second. Let
Every
me
day of the
check.
day.
Yes, 12 for Korak.
Am I
So-
allowed to opt to use luck to reroll? Or is it too late?
You already told me your number.
Okay, so.
So, as you all begin to move forward through the snow, it's difficult to move quietly whenever you're knee deep in snow. As you see this group approaching, you see a small halfling girl, little fox ears, walking on the top of the snow very loudly crunching, and at one point you see her walking, and she just goes to pick her foot up and manages to catch it on an unseen chunk of ice, and you see her pop up,
Make an
ears perk
adorable
up,
anime pop.
shaking off some snow off the top of her head. You see several other forms kind of lower down to the ground, a little harder to make it out. You see one form, a dwarf, having his hand kind of readied and sitting on the pommel of an axe on his back, riding atop a large dire wolf, making their direction towards
Would
you.
I have, as our prior conversation, would I have had any traps set?
No, this would have been, you would have just came upon the camp.
Okay, so this was simultaneous, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
You
that's what I
were
was
essentially a little bit further ahead, coming from a slightly different direction.
wondering. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait until I kind of see what their intentions are.
Okay.
I'm not going to assume anything malicious, but I'm just gonna wait, be
Okay.
cautious.
So as you all come towards the forest, you see them coming in your direction, towards the woods. What do you guys do? That's to everyone, by the way.
Do we see?
Make a perception check.
In conjunction with my 6, I would say not the quietest of the group. I think he was over there. That's where I saw him go.
You see her point right in your general direction.
So a 9.
9. Taking a moment, looking into the woods, you don't spot him.
You're doing a good job of being sneaky.
You roll a high
Well, with
stealth
my,
check.
my dexterity.
I just yell, or not yell, but like say in in a loud enough voice that he would be able to hear me in the trees because we're pretty close to this point, right?
Yeah.
I just say, "Who goes there? Are you a goodly creature?"
How goodly are you?
No response.
No response.
Nothing.
No response. I don't know. Do we just go in there and try and find him?
Are you with these creature or people in the camp?
No response.
I'm so tempted to do something.
Listen, we're traveling through. If you're in need of help, we can provide you food, warmth.
No
Not saying
response.
anything.
Alright, I'm gonna commune with nature.
Okay. So mark off that spell slot.
Alright. What I'm gonna try to do might not work, so we don't fucking know who you are. We'll see though. So I get to pick 3 things that I know instantly about the outside terrain within 3 miles.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll pick buildings. That'll be one of them. Just what kind of structures and whatnot might be around.
So as you take a moment, you see as Lily stops and begins to reach into her pouch and pull out some herbs and incenses, kind of throws them to the air as you see some of the snow begin to naturally kind of glow and blow up around her. Lily, you taking this moment, reaching in and feeling, I fucking hate you guys. Feeling your connection with nature, you feel scattered ruins, tents. You sense the one that's in front of you. You don't sense like any big buildings or particular structures that stick out in your mind aside from just ruined, overtaken buildings.
Alright, one of the other ones I want to do. Okay, so it says prevalent people. I mean, I guess that means I have to know who they are. I can't just do life forms or like humans in general.
I mean, you can sense for. Yeah, I mean, like you can do that.
I can say I just want to sense for like humanoid life forms.
Yeah, but like you won't get like it's not going to be like boop 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 like an exact radar. You will sense
Right.
generally where those things are.
But if he's like close to us, I'd be like, he's right fucking there.
You'll
Like, I can sense
yeah,
him.
kind of going into it, you feel the people around you. You feel that there is one that is very close to where you are, a little bit further ahead of you in the woods. Sensing out, you sense no life in the camp.
No humanoid life.
And then further out into the woods and into the surrounding mountains, you feel clusters of several dozen or more than that kind of scattered out around you in the surrounding landscape.
And then the last one I want to feel for is undead.
Undead, you sense about a dozen-ish out ahead of you
In the camp.
in the camp.
Okay. He's literally like right over there. Like I can feel him. He's just ignoring us. And there's a whole bunch of undead in the camp too.
Any living things in the camp?
No.
Nothing that's alive.
No. So they've clearly triumphed and taken it over. But he's literally like right
I
there.
know.
You hear all
We know
of
you're
this.
there.
We just like know that already though.
We are purposely talking out loud just to get him to try and.
Just to try to provoke me.
He didn't run away. I mean, he could have just slinked off into the woods and ran away. But no. He's right
Perhaps
there.
the only survivor of this attack.
So we know he's not undead at least.
He's alive.
As you all are having this conversation, suddenly you see some of the forms that are in the camp start. You hear a
Clickers.
as you see these large, shadowy figures with long, stretching wings. All of a sudden, 3 of them fly up into the east.
We thought the camp was empty.
You
Empty of
sense
human
no life.
Yeah. There's undead in there.
So having seen that, I audibly say, "Damn it!" and I jump down into the path where they're at and start walking after them.
Okay. As you guys see this this man kind of jump out and land into the trees wearing dark leathers, a short sword at his side. You can see a hand crossbow kind of hanging loosely from his hip. Warm winter clothing bundled in around him, walking similarly on the snow like you guys are, higher up on the top of it. And you see him very hurriedly start to move in the direction of the camp.
You just totally ignored us.
Yes.
Well,
Guys, there he is.
Well, let's just leave him to his business and continue on with our lives without him.
well, it's good. It's good.
If he's going to ignore us, we'll ignore him.
It's going to be pretty strange when we follow exactly where he's walking. Because if I'm not mistaken, we're headed east as well.
Just follow him.
Is he still going? Alright, well.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm very annoyed, and I'm just.
You're
We
just,
don't have
you're just
enough
walking
rations
straight towards the camp.
anyways.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm gonna go investigate the camp. And,
Okay.
We don't have enough.
Hey, Larry,
Um,
have you ever heard of the spell called Command?
We're walking.
As all of you were
Whole person.
as all of you are walking, trying to kind of keep up with him and kind of catch up.
Trying.
Wait,
um,
how far ahead of me is he?
Well, he kind of jumped down and kept walking, and you guys had that conversation. So he's a little ways ahead of you.
I want to try to cast hold person on him.
Do you have whole person?
I do.
Okay. What's the range on hold person?
60 feet.
Okay.
So,
Don't you walk
Brom.
away from us.
Brahm, I need you to go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw.
Well, lucky for me.
I don't know.
Um,
You're gonna feel. Even if this fails, you're gonna know what this will.
If you don't have anything marked, it would be just plus your wisdom modifier.
Yeah.
15.
That's my spell save.
So you, taking a moment, holding out your hand, attempting to lock it up, you feel the sudden stiffness in your muscles. You.
Lily, what are you doing?
Lily, what have we learned about casting spells on random people?
We don't know who he is. You're gonna just let him walk away into that camp with undead?
We're walking right behind him, and didn't all the undead just leave? If they're still there, then he can
Not
start
all
the
At this
fight.
moment, as you're all still approaching towards the camp,
As
getting
unstealthily
rather
as possible,
close,
yelling at each other.
Brahm, roll me a survival check with advantage. 21. As you reach the very edge of the camp, a few tents being almost within arm's reach, kind of taking a moment looking around, you see blood scattered across the snow, corpses, what looks like barbarians, humans wearing heavy leathers, weapons thrown down to the side, corpses ripped open. Several slashes across the corpses from what looks like not claws, but actual weapons. Taking a moment looking around through them, you see tracks, skeletal feet, long trudges through the snow, typical sign of undead. At that moment, you see from the large smoldering tent, kind of appearing from the other side of the building, from where it sees, you see this large shadowy form, kind of gray, palish yellow skin, several spears sticking out of the front of it, large tusk kind of protruding from the front of it, standing about 8-10 feet tall, rising up upon your approach, turning to look in your direction, and you see from on the other side of one of the nearby stone buildings, a second one rise up, kind of popping up out of the snow. You start to see the undead begin to pull out from the snow around you. I need everyone to go ahead and roll initiative.
Your whole person failed.
The whole person fails, correct?
What are these? Do you have a picture of what these things look like?
pretty sure they're
Fuck.
pretty sure they're undead trolls.
I don't know.
Initiative rolls.
What trolls?
Dang.
Actually, I don't think I do know what they look like.
So with advantage on initiative, I roll it again.
You have advantage on yours.
I like that number.
Korak? Yes, Korak does have.
Your initiative never goes up.
Unless your dexterity does.
Something heavy on your ear. Sneeze yourself. Listen, I mean, if you want.
I want to get fast too. I'm strong. I want to get fast.
Alright, you gotta condition those muscles.
That's right. That's slow down.
So. Nearby ruins.
Because the ones you ran out of ink on.
Yep. One of the nearby tents, as well as a few others scattered around. All of you would have been coming from this direction.
Yeah, because they ran out of ink for a 3D printer.
Ran out of plastic. Yeah.
Brahm, you would have been right about here through the camp. Did you also see?
I don't know. What is Eric doing?
He's somewhere for work.
Atlantic City, I believe.
So how many creatures did we see? 3 or just 2?
Would fly away. 3.
We saw 3 fly away. How many did we see revealed?
Well, you'll see here in a second.
Do they look different than the ones that are here?
What?
The creatures that flew away are clearly different than the ones that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just gonna watch him fight them, right?
Yeah.
He's just gonna take care of them all.
It'd be really funny if we just sat there and watched him get massacred and then we just kept going. Jim has to roll a whole new character.
Well, I did.
That's what you get for writing that whole thing out and then ignoring us.
Clearly, he doesn't want to be a part of our group.
It's alright. This man clearly doesn't respect authority.
God, he looks so edgy.
I was gonna make a joke about the all black leather. It's like, no wonder we saw him. He's wearing all black. It's snowing.
Pure white snow. That's a lot.
You see as well, scattered amongst them.
Actually, technically speaking, yeah. Is that
No.
non-humble brag?
You see kind of popping up out of the snow. Rotting flesh amongst all of these things. Several that are wearing armor and carrying weapons. You see humans and dwarves amongst the dead as they rise up. Initiatives 25 to 20.
24.
23.
Competition for the
Ooh. Pissing contest already. Peter's losing.
Korak had an unnatural 20.
20 to 15.
15.
Well, you are a tiny little turbo kawaii.
You don't know. I'm actually probably the 4th most kills.
It's called a kitsune.
15 to 10.
And the autism being
10.
That's 14.
Yep.
Wait, sorry.
11.
This is the Night Mother music, actually.
This is. That was the next spell I was going to use on you, was Blight.
You were going to cast Blight on me?
Don't you fucking walk away from me when I'm talking.
There's a reason.
Jesus.
She has a problem.
You just meet random people and just...
Oh, we don't.
Well,
Just murder them.
We haven't
talking
been, we
about
haven't
earlier.
have,
It's a problem we're trying to address.
We have it barely under control.
We struggle with a 15-year-old girl that runs around murdering people.
I have a really big hatred for people that hate authority. Like, you better respect authority.
Oh, I fucked it all up.
My authority.
Just in case you guys are wondering, none of the names match up with the camera.
I saw.
I just saw that. No, currently
I look like Cody.
currently you are Jim.
We mixed
Okay.
it's backwards over there.
Yeah, I got the names are supposed to be the other direction. Oh well, I'll fix it next time.
It's the worst game that's ever existed.
So, Brahm, as you see suddenly these undead beginning to pop up out of the snow, many of them chest to waist deep, some of them kind of popping up out of the ruins. These large, swollen forms, you recognize what they are. They are ogres. But you see again weapons protruding out of them, jaws unhinged. What do you want to do?
Well, I am going to do. Alright. So this is the first time playing this class.
Okay.
So I'm thinking the first thing I should do would be to use my Crimson Right.
Okay. So what weapon do you want to put your Crimson Right on?
My hand crossbow.
Okay. So you guys see as these undead begin to crawl out, you see this man in front of you unsheath his short sword, and he pulls out his crossbow. As he does, you see him kind of run his... But before he pulls out the crossbow, you see him run his short sword along the length of his hand. And as he grabs the crossbow, what right are you invoking?
I am going to invoke the Right of Flame.
Okay, so as you see, he kind of pulls up the crossbow. All of a sudden, this burst of flame appears around the end of the crossbow and seems to almost envelop it, but is not burning the crossbow itself. What do you want to do?
I am going to then. Let's see. That you use the bonus action.
That's your
to do
bonus
that.
action. So you still have your action and your movement.
I'm going to shoot the closest undead.
Okay. So you see this one kind of popping up out of the snow. Oh, that one, right.
Shake that rust off.
Too much? Yeah, it's too much. Perfect.
So as you see this, you see this dwarf kind of pop up out of the snow. The dwarf, a lot of these things are just wearing armor and like tattered, or not armor. They're wearing like just tattered remnants. This one seems to have actual armor, and you taking a look at it, you see there's almost an intelligence to the eyes as it pulls out its axe and is looking towards you menacingly. You can see sharpened teeth and kind of gray, wispy hair coming from the top of its head.
Okay.
Go ahead and make your attack.
So I get advantage on these guys.
Yeah, because they haven't acted yet. So, what are you attacking with? Are you doing your hand crossbow, or are you moving up and doing
The
some-
hand crossbow.
Okay. So go ahead and make 2 attacks.
Oh. 29.
29 is definitely a hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
Sorry, 30.
Okay.
Alright. Alright. And so for the Crimson Right, you add the damage.
Yeah. So you would roll the d6 for your hand crossbow.
So 6.
Plus your dex modifier.
So 10.
And then plus an additional 2 for undead.
12.
And then an extra d6 for your other damage.
14.
Give me 1 second here. Correct. Barely see the cards. Sandal. Sorry, Chloe. Okay, and this is with your hand crossbow, correct?
Correct.
Okay, as you level out your first shot, firing it into it, you see this bolt of flame as it envelops the actual bolt from the hand crossbow streak out, slamming into the creature. How much fire damage did you do? Like, what did you just roll on a straight d6?
That was a 2.
And then what was your total on damage again?
14.
Okay, so as you fire your first shot into the creature, it kind of slams into the armor, and you see it coils back, the fire burning at it doing damage. The crossbow didn't do as much, it didn't recoil back as much as you hoped. And you know what this is now that you've actually taken a moment firing off your first shot and hitting it. These are stronger than normal undead. These things have resistance to non-magical weapons that are not silver.
Okay.
So,
But I have silver arrows.
well, you have the silver arrows on top of normal arrows. I run under the assumption that you fire a normal one off of that. If you tell me you're using specialty ammo.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have just randomly used
Yeah.
a special. Yeah.
But so now, if you want to do your second attack with a silver crossbow, you can. So go ahead and make a second attack.
27.
That's definitely a hit. So go ahead and roll your 2d6.
Okay, so 11, 15. That's 15 just for the damage.
Just for the dice?
Yeah, that's just the die.
Okay, and then how is that possible?
Well, no,
Just
no,
the die?
it's plus the 4. So
Oh, so then plus an additional 2 for undead.
yeah.
So what's your total?
17.
17. Okay.
Yeah. And then does the fire add 2?
Oh, well, that was the 2d6.
Oh, that's
I'm
what the-
factoring in
okay,
the
I see what you're
damage. Okay, so your second shot now, it kind of recoiling back. It looks like it goes to start lunging towards you, and you properly level out a shot and manage to slam down. It slams in, tearing out part of its leg. The creature kind of stumbles as it turns to regard you. Do you want to move or do anything else? Keep in mind, this is all
Yeah, I'm gonna,
difficult terrain.
Well,
So-
I am not hindered by difficulty.
It's true.
So I will move. Back this way, yeah. Kind of like straight back this way.
Fenrir, you're up.
How many enemies
So it's a good bit. There's a good number of zombies that have kind of come up out of the snow.
Who's the biggest, baddest, strongest looking motherfucker?
Probably these ones, but you're too far away even on Lunae with the snow.
Oh, is my movement speed reduced?
Yeah, everyone's movement speed, if you don't ignore difficult terrain, you have half movement.
What do you mean if you don't ignore it?
So you have half movement. Now that you ignore Lunae,
Shit.
ignore difficult terrain.
That sucks.
He does have
What?
You,
Oh, I have
you
wings.
do have one.
No, you have a weakness.
Oh.
It is a false weakness.
If
No.
he cannot get to the opponent, he
I'm
cannot
just-
kill the opponent.
I'm gonna use my legendary
Lunae.
action to spread out my wings.
So what are you doing, Fender?
I'm going to.
Actually, somehow.
I'm gonna go up next to this new unknown dude.
Okay. So I'm assuming you're on the back of Lunae.
Yeah.
10.
You just float. You and the
20.
dog.
And then
The dog has snowshoes.
Brom, you see as the dwarf riding on the back of the wolf, as you see this wolf come walking towards you in the snow, and you see very strangely that the wolf seems to be wearing boots,
The hell.
as it is just pawing and moving its way through the snow as fast as possible. And the dwarf on the back, as he
Shut that
unsheathes his
little
axe, looking at you.
can I make it to that within melee of the one right in front of us?
To this one,
Yeah.
if Lunae dashes, you can get into melee with it.
Can I just prepare her attack for when she gets into melee,
Sure.
and then I'll throw a jab.
Okay. Go and make your 2 attacks.
That'll work. Do I have any advantages against stuff dead?
No,
Why do I feel like I do?
you don't.
No, it's just extra damage.
You just do extra damage if you Divine Smite.
Same thing.
Okay.
Um, 6 points.
Okay. You pulling out your two javelins, standing atop the thing, throw both of them, slams into the creature's chest as it kind of stumbles back into the building as it just continues to amble on in your direction. That is very Korak.
Oh, I suppose I'll rage and start charging forward full speed.
Let's be real here. We wouldn't
5,
remember.
10, 15, 20. I think that he has... Is he high enough level to have 50 feet of movement?
I always say honestly.
At 50 feet.
Barbarians get really far movement.
So that's Eric's character, right?
Yeah, he's got 40 on the sheet.
Okay, so that's his full movement.
Okay.
With a brilliant red cape.
And that thing's coming out of the.
Snow, correct. So he can either dash
Okay.
or
He's just gonna He's just gonna
Smells awful.
ready up his swing.
It
If
smells like
if something
dirt.
comes near him, he's just preparing to just smash
He
something.
can dimension door with his cape.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a magic
I
cape.
feel like if we're gonna save the first use case for it, it needs to be he needs to
That's
do
true.
it.
That's true.
Okay, nothing else.
Just prepare to attack.
All right, cool.
It's attack for him, right?
Yeah.
He has a plus. What weapon? +1.
He's a +2. He's a +2 longsword.
+2 longsword. That's right.
So, you guys see the dwarves and these ones that have weapons here. The dwarf, not able to get, no, it would fully dash up to Korak in its recklessness and would provoke 2 attacks from him.
He always attacks.
He always attacks
Yeah,
recklessly.
recklessly. So that's the first attack. 11 is the roll plus. I believe it's going to
It's high enough to hit.
be. Yeah, I think that's a. I think he has a. So I believe +2 plus
Yeah.
7. So
Yeah,
it's
so it's just
9,
the-
I think.
yeah.
Attacks.
Yeah, it's like,
I'll just do the other.
yeah.
Whatever.
So he has a shield.
Yeah.
I think that's 8. Right, so that is 11 plus.
Here, use a shield. That's just this.
Yeah, that's his family crest.
So
Here's my
11 for
favorite
the
crest.
damage plus 2 strength lines, 19 plus rage damage.
Everyone eats his face.
So, total, how much?
I don't know his rage damage.
It should be +3.
Plus 3, so plus 6, 25.
25 damage. So as this thing comes running up, goes to swing in with its axe, he very easily deflects it aside and slashes in twice with his long sword, hacking into it. The creature, though, kind of stumbles back and is still on its feet. At that time, the one that's up here kind of steps up onto the edge of the ruin and pulls out a bow and fires off 2 shots at Korak. That's definitely a miss against this armor class for the first shot, with a 3 and a 1. The second one is a 19 versus armor class. Okay. So the 2 shots, the first one fires off, skips into the snow. Yeah. And the second shot pulls back. He manages to lift up the new shield that he has and hits it off into the snow. The dwarf that's here.
You don't wear metal.
30.
I'm not allowed to use it.
Um,
I'm traumatized.
As these ones come running forward, these as they're running, just pulling out bows and firing shots as they go. It's going to be 2 shots against Lily and 2 shots against Sindal. Lily, the first shot is a 17,
Miss.
and the second shot is also a miss. Then the 2 shots against you, Sindal. First attack is... Oh, wow, I'm rolling real shitty. That's a...
We down here, Herb.
That's definitely a miss. And
The
then
wood in these areas is free range.
It's not organic.
that's a 15 versus armor
Is
class.
it caged wood?
Okay. So you take
Non-GMO.
It's non-GMO.
5 points of piercing damage plus 4 points of necrotic. As the shot kind of hits into you, and you stumble back as you feel this biting sensation as the arrow seems to almost like corrupt it around the skin around where it hits. You also see stepping out from around the ruins here. Another one of these things. And you see it, and as it steps, it seems to almost be shifting between multiple places at the same time, stepping from where it is. Pulls back a shot, fires one at Zarn and one at Sindal. Actually, one at Zarn, one at Sindal, and one at Lily. It gets 3 shots. First shot against Lily.
It's a champion.
Natural 20.
Yep, that will hit.
Don't you feel a little lucky, Lily?
Oh wait a minute, yeah. I am allowed to do that. I'm gonna use luck to try to replace your attack roll.
Sure, go and roll.
No, I would rather have used it at some point earlier when it didn't fucking matter.
Classic.
So that's a 10. I don't know what the plus would be.
That's a 19.
So that beats my armor class, but at least it's not a crit.
You take 10 points of piercing damage plus 1 necrotic, so 11 total.
That's not bad.
The shot against Sindal is a 21 versus armor class.
Absolutely.
I forget.
You take 7 points of piercing and necrotic.
Was that, sorry, that's
7 total between the two of them.
7 total. Well, I need to differentiate necrotic now.
So it would have been 2 points of necrotic, so 5 and 7, or 5 and 2. Then a shot against Zarn. That's like 20, like 26.
That's a miss.
Lily's arrow went jugular.
You take 7 points of piercing and 1 necrotic. So 8 total for that. And then this one here. 25, 30, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That one's going to double dash. Who did I forget? Oh no, those two did their shots. One did his, he dashed, he attacked, he jumped up there.
Are these all skeletons yet?
These ones, the ones that are firing off the shots, they're not skeletons. They have like tight white and gray skin with fangs kind of pointed out in the front and coming down, kind of wispy gray hair. Very much undead, but not skeletons. You don't see skulls underneath. Bear, you're up.
How windy and snowy is it?
It's pretty windy. It's not snowing right now. It's kind of kicking up loose snow, kind of obscuring your vision a little bit. But
Actually, well, yeah, I'm gonna activate Radiant Soul.
so you see as Albert, Brahm, you see kind of coming from the side, this kind of dark and twilight, with these undead coming towards you, stealing yourself. You see suddenly this bright, radiant light coming from your right, and as you look, you see one of the people, a veil drawn over his head with the veil pulled across the front, is suddenly sprouting from the armor behind. This set of spectral angel wings appear up behind him. He's the only person that has wings, actually. Aside from Lily, whenever she transforms, but you see as
Lily actually is the mother.
you see the spectral angel wings spread as suddenly he has righteous abs.
That's my favorite. I just grab him and I just grind his face on my ass.
What the hell?
You don't have resistance to these.
So that's your action. What are you doing?
I'll fly 20 feet up. And let's see.
Where are you flying to?
Yeah, I'll just do 20 feet up. No, 15 feet up and 15 feet forward. So.
So you're kind of
Need a
the most
smaller,
inconvenient place.
Yeah.
I don't have a smaller. Oh no, I do have a smaller piece. Do I have a smaller piece?
Is that right? I'm getting shot in those
That dude in the back is
3D
fucking
checks.
intense. +9 is fucking arrow attacks.
So as you fly up into the air, flying in the direction of these undead.
And
Anything with your bonus action?
bonus action shield fake.
As you see his righteous abs take off into the air, you see...
I see his abs take off.
No, you don't actually see that, but you see
Just
as...
leave his body.
You see as these wings appear out behind him, he takes off up into the air, kind of holding a shield in one hand and a hammer in the other, as you see this glowing, holy energy kind of surround him, what looks like armor.
That's pretty rad.
Sindal, you're up. What do you want to do?
Look here.
Take a quick one.
And wall of ice
Stevie's actually the harbinger of this.
drawn across.
Ripping
Uh,
open.
Where are you drawing it here, buddy?
I'll just.
You're the kind of people that I would just. Hey, how you doing?
Do you want me to just do it with my blue?
No,
not
because
accepting
that's
it.
dry erase.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was.
We're not. We're gonna fly on our website
What's that?
to join Nocturne.
Fuck Nocturne.
Heard about you scrubs.
It will go just straight through these. I'm gonna draw a line like that.
Oh, I swap.
So yeah. So it'll be
It started.
It's got like
10.
main
It
power.
started a point.
That
you
wall's
can't
gonna be
see.
here for a long time.
20.
Oh, that's right.
Right, it works through cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
30, 40, 50. I don't know. 60, 70, 80, 90, and we'll just end it right here. Hold on.
Okay. So you see as the Eladrin that's with the group in these loose, well, I guess that he's not technically wearing his winter clothing.
I have
Uh,
fine winter clothing.
He does have, you see very, very regal looking winter clothing as he steps forward with an ice, with a staff that seems to be capped with a chunk of ice on the top of it. You see as he flails it forward, and you see the ice give off this pulse of energy as suddenly the snow in front of you, this wall of ice begins to appear, cutting off half of the enemies in front of you. Up about 10 to 15 feet high, the whole way across, out in front of you, obscuring your vision from the back half of the ones that were here, leaving only the ones you see in front of you. I'm assuming you were drawing it through some of these things.
Anybody.
Any of, like, so these four that are along this line.
Yes.
Dexterity saving throws?
Yes.
Okay. Zombie specialties. 15. What's your saving throw?
Higher.
17. Failure. 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 4 failures. Go and roll your damage.
Points of cold damage.
So you see as this wall of ice appears, cutting through all of these things, this one, do you choose which side to go on, or do they choose?
I was just about to ask them, I'm not really sure. There's a creature, so it was pushed to one side of the wall and must make a dexterity saving throw and fail to save. It just says it takes damage, it doesn't say where.
It's gonna get pushed to you see as the ogre kind of stepping through, the wall kind of pushing in and freezing along its back, it pushes itself forward. The other 3 are immediately flash frozen in the middle of it, as you can kind of see their arms are reaching out, and one of them you see the arm just snap off and fall to the ground as all 3 of these are just instantly killed.
Damn, that's a spell.
Anything else?
I'm going to step backward.
Okay. It's 10 feet of your movement. How far are you moving?
Back to behind towards Fenrir.
Sorry, you're up.
That tent there.
This is the one that has the smoke billowing out of it.
Okay. Is it like on fire on it? On fire?
Yeah.
How large would you say it is? Like huge?
No, I wouldn't say that it's huge in size. No.
I'm gonna animate objects. Target the tent.
You're gonna animate the tent?
The flaming tent, yes.
This
On
could
my
be
turn too, I want to summon
It's large.
4 giant eagles.
I can do 4 other objects as well.
Or gecko cards.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the fire. No, the tent with that thing. It's almost like a longhouse. Yes, it's definitely considered so.
I'm gonna animate that and then just pull 2 arrows in my quiver and put them out.
Okay.
Similar, yeah. And then the arrows and the tent, I'm gonna just attack the nearest enemy.
Okay.
And I believe that my bonus action at the time.
Okay. So you see as this large kind of burning longhouse suddenly, when you hear this creaking and breaking of wood, as suddenly the tent flists to one side and slams in towards this stumbling ogre, stumbling out from the wall. Go ahead and make an attack.
Crit. So that
Critical
is
10 damage.
critical 10
Critical
damage.
tent damage.
So double whatever the hell you end up doing again.
It's 4d12.
What in the hell?
So 4 plus 7 is 11. And 23, 25 plus 4. So 29. Correct.
Okay, so you see as this thing just slams forward, kind of smashes into the ogre's head, you can see part of it, like the side of the skull just collapses and kind of rips off part of the jaw fully unhinged at this point, as the ogre stumbles, kind of still holding its morning star forward. Still up. And then the 2 arrows go and swing forward towards
Is the tent thing still there?
Oh yeah, no, it's still there. It's moving around, slamming into this thing.
Sitting there, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then your 2 arrows sing forward towards the one that is engaged before it.
Yeah. So the 2 worst attacks. One is a 26.
That's a hit.
Is 1 plus. It's 5 damage. And this is 19.
It's also a hit.
Another 5 damage.
I have to double check something.
Go for it. believe everything is supposed to be poisoning damage.
Okay. It's non-magical is what I was checking.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's considered non-magical damage. So,
Oh.
your 2 arrows slam into the creature, kind of digging out small chunks of flesh, then kind of circling on around, going in, trying to go for 2 more hits, but the creature's still standing.
And then what I'm going to do is, just with what movement I have, I'm just going to try and get more behind this wall in line of sight, just so that thing can't shoot arrows at me again.
5, 10, 15, 20.
This way. Like, just
5,
like,
10, 15, 20,
It's like
30, like to there. Okay.
You just move people in space.
No, I didn't.
Okay. There we go.
Lily, you're up.
Alright, there's a clear open sky above me, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm gonna cast Call Lightning, but at 4th level.
Okay.
Just fuck these zombies.
Okay, so as you see, just really impressed with this random group of people that's coming up behind you, Brahm. You see suddenly as this small little fox girl, kind of standing underneath, kind of holds out her hand. As suddenly you see the sky above, already kind of dark, begin to swarm and darken around you. As you see, and the clouds above you, streaks of lightning and thundering beginning to come down. Where are you calling down your first strike?
On these 2, right in between those 2 guys.
Did any of the lightning strikes hit the flying angel person?
No.
They just increase the radiance of his abs.
It starts to electrify.
When the lightning strikes, it shimmers perfectly for like the perfect lighting.
His hammer seems to catch the lightning like a true angel.
Creates like a rainbow behind it.
If they're within 5 feet of the strike, they have to make their dex save.
That's what I was double checking that, and yeah, I'll see. But so they need to make dexterity saving throws, correct?
Yes. It's a 15.
Zombie fails. The other one fails as well. Go ahead and roll damage.
Fucking light them up.
Let him up.
So that's 12 plus. No, because that was 2. Because I'm rolling 4d10. Plus 20. So it's 21 total.
Okay, so you see as this lightning strike hit into the snow, slamming it around these 2 undead. The shambling zombie kind of cracked and racked by the lightning, stumbles forward, is still up, and so is the other one. You're gonna move or do anything else?
I have to be able to see them, right?
Correct.
For the moment, I'm gonna stay where I'm at.
Okay. Oh, I missed the turn. Drop them in where they're supposed to be and just take them now. So, this would have been the ogres. This one,
Was that before or after me?
10 before. 15. And then
How many spells are
5, 10, 15. This ogre comes lumbering towards the actual living flesh, not the random burning tent that's hitting it in the face.
I believe we can get an opportunity attack on it.
That's all I have to
No, I don't think that they have reactions, unless it says it does. What's your wall's armor class?
There's a lot to read here.
The wall's armor class? Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's only 12.
It's a yeah, that's gonna be a hit anyways. So how much? You can check how much.
ice now. It's 14.
So 30 each.
Okay, so the first hit against it, as this ogre comes lumbering forward, slamming its club into the wall, it takes 19 points of damage. If you,
I'll write it.
yeah, if you want to write that down, it's just the section here where it is. That's the ogres doing their turn. This one comes moving up to Brahm and is going to make a slam attack against you. That's a 17 versus armor class. Brahm. 17 versus armor class.
Tied it.
Okay, so as this zombie comes lumbering towards you, you take 4 points of bludgeoning damage. It just comes in and just slams against you. You taking a moment, being totally caught off guard by this random group of people. The zombie manages to come in, and you manage to get it from getting any real vital blows, but you feel like kind of slam into your armor. This other one.
Stay away.
Moves up to Lily.
You're right there.
Goes lumbering forward, and that is this one actually. He goes and makes a slam attack as well against that. Nice. That's totally a hit. That's like a 20 plus. It takes out of 4 points of bludgeoning damage. And then.
Are they attacking the same section?
Yeah. Brahm, you're up.
Okay. So this thing's now in melee range.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to attack it with my short sword. Before I do that, though, I'm going to use my bonus action to command in my Rite of Flame as well.
Okay, so you see as he goes into slam against us, he kind of touches his short sword to his leg, runs the blade against it as you see flame against
I like to think that the blood, like as soon as it meets the air on the blade, it starts to
I'm thinking of it basically as like yeah, essentially just like as soon as you run it along your leg, it's almost like lighting gasoline on it, where it's just like just sparks right off the blade. As you see now, he has a hand crossbow in one hand and a flaming short sword in the other. There's a zombie in front of you.
Yeah, I'm gonna attack it with my short sword, but okay, yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna attack it.
Okay, go ahead and make 2 attacks.
It's so 2d20 though.
Yeah. So also just keep in mind you don't have advantage on this anymore. So one would be your first and the other would be your second.
So a 19
It's a hit.
and a 15.
Also a hit. Go ahead and roll all your damage. That'd be
Just want to fly in a radiant.
4d6 plus all your modifier stuff.
That's why you bonus action shoot.
Are you just shooting 2 hand crossbows at them?
No, he's stabbing it twice with a short sword.
Alright. 5, 9, 10, 11.
Actually, sorry. Do your first damage first.
Okay. So first damage first. That's true. So 9.
Plus the d6 from your Crimson Right.
So the d6 from my Crimson Right. We have 3.
Okay, and so
13 or 12.
and then did you add your +2 for undead?
No.
Okay, so
14.
Okay. Okay. So as you slash in with your short sword, you kind of stab in through the neck and cut outward as you see kind of this black ichor kind of pour out from the wound as the head lops to the side. Surely what looks like a killing blow, but the head just barely manages to hang on as the undead is still alive, going towards you. Go ahead and roll your second damage.
So that's going to be 7.
Okay, plus your second d6.
So 7 plus 2. 9 plus 2. 11.
Okay. This time, after the first one not finishing off the blow, you kind of turn the blade around to get a reverse grip on it and stab it down through the head, piercing down through the head into the chest. as the zombie, you can the scent of burning flesh kind of fills into your nostrils as you separate and pull the sword free as the zombie falls dead.
As a reaction, can I use my Curse of the Fallen Puppet?
Your Curse of the Fallen Puppet you would want to use against, like, if there are other enemies near each other. If you make you get up and attack, it would slam you.
That's right, okay. Making sure. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Fenrir.
Where am I? What's close to me?
Did
anything come into melee range of me?
No. The thing that's closest to you, there is one that is up on Lily, which I think is just within range of Lune, and then there's also one that's still up on Cora.
Yeah. How far away is Lily?
It would be Lune's 15. She could get there with her movement. It's not an action yet.
Okay. How far is it?
It's 15 feet. So it would be 40 feet of her movement. Or no, it would be 30 feet of her movement, sorry. Because it's difficult terrain.
Okay, whatever.
She can get there in one turn.
Okay. Yeah. Will she be able to use her prepared attack from before? Or
No, that's lost now.
That's fine.
As you run up to the zombie. It's on Lily. I would say quite simple. Pretty simple, isn't it? But yeah.
She's going to.
Okay. That's a hit. I failed to save throw.
14.
Okay, so I'll make it 2 turns. Yep.
That is 16 points.
Okay. Your first axe hit, slamming down into its chest, still up.
15.
To hit.
That is 17.
Okay, your second axe swing as it's down on the ground, Lune rending it to the ground. Your first axe slam, slamming down into its chest. As it tries to grab at the axe, you manage to pull it up, kind of lifting it up into the air, very quickly bring it back down, severing off the creature's head.
Hey,
Well, I've heard stories.
Lily? You're welcome.
Korak, you're up. Unless you want to do something with your bonus action, Fenrir.
Legendary action. No.
Okay.
Legendary bonus action.
Korak, you're up. There's one on top of you.
Oh, there's one right on top of me. Is there
Wait,
another
does she have any more movement speed?
She can move like 10 more feet.
Yeah, move her in the range of the big guy.
Okay. You're up.
I'm just gonna make my 2 attacks now.
Okay.
So first attack, obviously, relentless and whatever. 16.
16, that's a hit. Roll damage.
12 points of damage.
12. Okay, so your first hit, slamming down.
His
through.
sword is a +2, is not damage.
No, it's a +2 to damage as well.
Oh shit. Okay.
Either way, still.
Okay.
Your first sword swing, slamming down through the creature's clavicle down into the chest. The creature stumbles, and as he pulls the sword free, the dwarf corpse falls dead.
I'm going to then start moving towards the. Is that an archer up high on the?
Yeah, up here.
Okay. How far up is that?
He would technically be within melee range if he moves here. It would
Then
just
I'm
be like up at the top of his melee swing.
then I'm gonna go there.
Okay. And go ahead and make your second attack.
Attack and. I feel like he would try to grab him and pull him down.
You can go ahead and try that. Yeah, go ahead and make a grapple check.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to
It does sound
grapple
like
him.
very air.
He has advantage because he's raging.
Right. So that's 12 plus.
I think he has like a plus. He's
Is this athletics? You said?
Yeah.
So his strength is 4. It has a check mark, so it's another 4.
So that would be plus 8.
20.
Yeah, no, he definitely manages to grab this thing and wrest it down from the top, it kind of falling down into the snow next to him, dropping the bow as it goes. As he does, he goes and reaches for its long sword. Korak's turn. On his turn, these two move in to swarm against him, throwing 4 attacks against him as they go.
Here's where that shield comes in.
First one. 18 versus armor class.
No.
Okay. Second attack. 19 versus armor class.
Nope.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, he has the
It's a
plus
plus
2
2
shield. I
fucking
forgot about that. That's not gonna be. That's a 28 versus armor class. He takes. And he reduces all of this because he resists everything. 12. Oh, no, that would have been. So he takes. He takes 6 points of necrotic damage, and I need him to make a Constitution saving throw.
Wait, did you already have that?
Yeah.
He does not have any advantage on con saves.
Correct.
It's just a high plus. Okay.
I don't think he has more than 10. So yeah. So he fails. So his maximum HP is reduced by that.
Okay.
And then the second hit was a natural 20. So 7 points of necrotic damage and another Constitution saving throw.
Save 7.
Yeah.
Plus 19.
Okay, then he just takes that damage. Okay. The wall takes another 23 points of damage.
So that section is definitely.
Okay.
I have much slower history in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So don't be on the line.
If they move through.
Moving up along through the ruin.
You're watching the screen on
In difficult terrain.
Wi-Fi.
With where it is with its shot, it's going to fire off 2 more shots at you with where it sees. You see as this creature steps up into the stone, up above the snow, running around, firing off 2 shots at you. First attack is a 15 versus armor class.
Yes.
You take 10 points of piercing damage plus 3 necrotic, and I need you to make a concentration check.
concentration.
Mm-hmm.
9 plus con, so it's over 10.
Okay. And then the second attack. That's only 14 or so.
So it's
Okay. I need to make another concentration.
Wizard life.
if that's
You take 11 points of piercing damage plus 4 necrotic.
plus 4. Okay. Another.
Oh, wait. Are you going for Korak?
No, these shots are against the null.
17 natural.
Okay.
Did anybody walk through where they destroyed?
Not
the
yet.
rest?
This one's firing
Are
shots.
the enemies after me?
Some of them are.
Okay. I was going to finish up.
It's not all about you, Fender.
Actually, yeah, all of them would have been
Oh, it
after
is,
you.
though.
But yeah, why?
I know.
I just had a question if I could use my bonus action or if it's too late.
We're
it's fine.
we're too far past that at this point. This one is going to come up and is going to pull out its long sword. I guess the description is Korak. As they're going in with their swords, the two swords, Korak manages to deflect one and parry the other. They kind of reach in with their hands as well, and managing their ungauntleted hands managing to touch against him. He feels like a withering of his life force, as if they're very pulling his essence from him. The same thing comes up to do the same to Fenrir. When it comes up to make 2 attacks against you. The first is the long sword.
But then they
Who's attacking
start to like.
This one that was over here on the other side of the tent. He's running up with his long sword. That's a 26 versus your armor class.
Okay, that's it.
So you take. So, including your reduction, you take 9 points of slashing damage plus 5 necrotic. So 14 total from that, and then the second attack is
For the same guy?
yeah, he does first slash with his longsword, and the second hand is reaching up, and I believe he touches you with a 26 versus armor class.
Okay.
Get wrecked.
So you take
He gets so mad when he gets hit, then he kills everything.
you take 8 points of necrotic damage, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Guys, I only have like 220 HP left.
That is 16.
16. Okay, you're fine with that then. So yeah, you just take the 8 points of necrotic. This one. Stepping up to here, pulls out a bow, and fires 2 shots at the giant flying glowing angel that's up in the air. Fires off 2 shots.
The obvious target.
The first
Maybe
is
after the
a
first
versus a 21 versus armor class.
Nope.
Second. Okay, yeah. So as it goes up and fires against the first shot, it coming up towards you, the glowing radiant energy kind of stops it in midair and deflects it from actually hitting.
What the fuck?
And kind of protecting the gaps between your armor. The second shot firing, you managed to duck out of the way. You almost felt like you almost wanted to flex your abs and just deflect it straight that way, but you decide that would actually just stab me in the stomach, so I'm not going to do that. But that is their whole turn. Aubert, you're up.
Basically.
Your puny weapons cannot harm me.
Where are you going?
I'll forward 10 feet, and that's basically what's
We're gonna
Entire
Dive
apparatus.
Dive
I have
bomb.
to. Actually, drop me down on the next level. I'm gonna drop myself 10 feet too.
Okay.
Actually,
We're just gonna.
redact that.
Those are
Just go
cool,
for
but
it.
what an incredible pain in the ass.
If it could,
He
If
wanted
it was
this.
just like a 4x4, that
if
or
it,
2x2.
well, if it could pop and like hold here, but then be on that side. So if you're only doing like one small mini, it doesn't matter. It's not gonna tip the whole thing over. It's kind of
What are you doing?
I'm gonna channel Infinity, Radiance of the Dawn.
Alright, so what's the radius?
30.
Okay, so it's gonna be. So it's gonna be that. These two, or these three.
We're gonna AoE.
Do you hold any ill will or hostility?
Natural 20 for the zombie, or for the.
Not in particular.
Alright, then you're fine.
Your Constitution saving throw, correct?
What?
Constitution saving throw, right?
Yes.
Another natural 20. We get 2 attacks. We get 2 attacks.
Yeah. I'm defender.
And what's your saving throw?
Saving from DC 7.
Okay, so 2 of them passed, including the big guy.
Total of 19 points of blinding radiant holy energy.
Basically, a holy nova.
You hear this?
Oddly enough, the same screaming sound as enemies make hit by
Oh,
if it's
and
next.
I forgot about this. An extra 10 points.
it.
Right.
An extra 10 points of radiant damage on top of that because I'm in Radiant Soul.
So what's that? What's that total?
That'd be up to 29 instead of just 9.
Your AoE is 29 damage.
It's his thing.
Well, I feel like
It took him 2 turns. Just give it some time. So you
I'm
see,
over here like 14. Yeah.
you see as this zombie just is disintegrated. The other ones stumbling back from the blinding light are they're fine, but you
In
see.
case there was any.
You
magical
see,
darkness in the area.
you see these, the 4 that are down here, kind of stumble back away from the light, but as it kind of fades, they seem to be fine. They seem to be affected by bright, radiant light like that, but it's not prolonged. You do anything with the bonus action? Sindal, you're up. Doing alright.
Yeah, we did that.
Alright, so those guys broke through, and the one behind him is the one that was shooting the absolute
Correct.
dog shit out of me. I'm going to
12.
12 seconds.
Rushed in.
And I was just
What are you doing, Sindal?
That'll happen.
Zern, you'll be up.
perhaps.
Nice. Over towards Larry.
I'm going to just do it again, only this time I'm just gonna drop a hemisphere on that guy.
So just all around him, you're just going to essentially wall him in?
Yeah. So the way it works is just correct the first time I do it.
Nothing I can have is going to
Oh, did you forget to do that?
No,
He has a lot of things to take bonus actions.
Yeah, a lot of my stuff takes
Oh yeah, all your fire stuff. All the burning.
So it'll be hemisphere zone.
Right.
I guess it could go under the snow. It doesn't really matter. But
Okay.
with a radius of up to 10 feet, which
So you're just going to essentially dome him into this building.
yeah, don't hit him. I think technically with that a 10-foot radius. around-
10-foot radius, you wouldn't be able to get the other ones.
Okay, it doesn't hit. Well, it doesn't hit them. Would they? Be
Where he is, because he's in this square. No, they would be out of the range.
Okay.
It would just barely miss them.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna dome him with a wall of ice.
Okay, so you see as he flares out that staff
Wall,
again, this
wall.
one that was firing off this shot, this wall dissipates into mist as suddenly you see the one that's up against the building. This corner of the building just this orb of ice completely circles in around it, as you no longer see this guy.
I say-
a wall of ice around him.
He's clearly their leader and giving them commands somehow. And how much snow is below me? Are we still in pretty high snow?
So in the camp area, like the snow had kind of naturally kind of regressed down a little bit. So you're not in like 4 feet of snow. You're in like 2 feet of snow, but you're still having difficulty walking.
Okay. He shot me. And I just go prone.
So you,
Under the snow.
you drop down into the snow, and your feet are still like halfway up. As you kind of drop further down, you sink you sink down into the snow. And you feel your feet.
He's hiding.
He just dropped prone. As you turn back and see him doing that, he has 2 arrows sticking out of his chest currently. Yeah. Yeah, he's real fucked up. Okay. Next up is the ogres. Now with this dropped, 15, 20, 25, 30 is going to just take the club that it has, just went end over end straight at Korak. That's a. Well, he's throwing the club at him. That's a. Wait, who to throw at? Who'd throw that at Albert? Because he's a big fucking
Most noticeable.
Yeah,
I thought that was good. Like everything else.
it throws that at you, but that's a total of
Just like
25 versus armor class.
Yeah, it makes contact.
So you take.
Happy about that.
Yeah, hit. I can't get
Oh, it makes contact.
You take 12 points of bludgeoning damage and need to make a concentration check.
Oh yeah.
He makes another whip attack against me.
Oh, we forgot to agree on the last round too.
Oh well, I mean, you would have had to have done that like while you were in the woods or whatever, because otherwise you walked into
Well,
camp
it-
and they sprung up
It
on you.
lasts. until
I know,
the round.
but I mean,
Say
like,
Constitution.
yeah.
That's 21.
Okay, yeah, you maintain your shield of faith. The other one goes in for a club swing against Lune.
So wait, and how much damage you say that was?
12. 12 points of
What does?
the ogre thing. Okay. That's a 12 versus armor class. It goes to swing, and you manage to duck out of the way as it goes above. Sorry, you're up.
10's gonna attack the ogre again.
Okay,
It's gonna be like a 22 versus AC.
that's a hit.
16 plus 4, so it takes 20 points of tent damage.
Okay, so the tent slams into the back of the ogre. It stumbles forward. It's still up.
The 2 arrows are gonna fly towards whatever the next closest thing is.
Would probably be this thing
So they're
there.
gonna fly them. So I told them to attack the closest thing.
They keep
Balance is like anything that's
Yeah, no, it lasts as long as the concentration lasts.
Even though it's a flimsy arrow, it like magically just makes it
They're-
so it doesn't break and shit.
It's a magic floating weapon, pretty much.
Yeah, they're not like jamming into it. They're essentially like nicking against flesh to cause extra damage.
One is a crit, and the other one is a 14 versus AC.
That's yeah.
You definitely crit more times.
Yeah. Wait. What was the other one?
14 versus AC.
That's yeah. That's still a hit.
Okay, so crit
Just a hit.
is 4 plus, so that's 8. That's the crit one. And 2 plus 6 off the non-crit one. And then
Sorry. I'm real bad at math. Go ahead.
and then I'm gonna fire. I'm gonna keep moving to like right here, and then I'm gonna fire an arrow at the ogre,
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack.
Arrows sticking out.
or both 2 arrows at the ogre. Fuck, that's plus
Bloody snow.
8, so that's 11 versus AC.
11 versus AC. That's still a hit.
All right, so I'm just gonna do the other attack too then. That's over 20 versus. Or
Okay. So
19
roll.
versus
So roll the first damage.
5 plus 4 is 9 damage.
Okay. Yeah. So as your shot sinks into the ogre's chest, it stumbles back. still coming forward. Roll your second damage.
10 damage.
Yeah, your second arrow slamming into it again. It still managing to hold together,
Dude,
holding on with that.
Goddamn zombies.
Holding on with that undead fortitude. Lily, you're up.
I want to try to shoot lightning and hit these two that are attacking Korak. I'm assuming Albert would be okay because he's elevated.
You can't get
I mean,
both of them without getting Korak.
Me and Korak don't have the greatest relationship.
That's fucked up.
I like how you're trying to help him by hitting the ones that are attacking him, but then you're like, fuck it, I'll hit
But
him
then
too.
fuck him.
I know he has high HP. What about these two then?
You wouldn't be able to get both of them without hitting Lune and Fenrir.
Damn it.
You couldn't put like where the tent is?
Yeah, like back behind. Because
You
it's
didn't-
only
you
within
didn't
5 feet of the lightning strike.
Oh, I forgot that the ogre is a large creature. Yeah, you could put it back and hit the two of them.
Alright, let's do that.
Okay, go ahead and,
Well, you gotta roll first.
yeah, I know. They're zombies. They both failed.
What is the check?
There's zombies.
Dexterity
there.
checks.
No, it's...
Oh, he's rolling for
Is
the
it
10.
dexterity? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
lightning. Of
how
course it's
dexterous?
dexterity.
I like how we happen to use like
Uh,
all
the-
of our
the-
spells
the
as
tent has a
dexterity
6
checks in a zombie
dexterity.
fight.
And it
So
got
it's
a very low
5,
score.
that's
So your 10 is going to take this damage.
Yes.
5, and then 7,
Your
12.
10 couldn't
Only
avoid it.
12. That's so pitiful.
You already 12 damage.
Yeah.
Tent's still standing.
Fucking pitiful.
It has 80
Do
HP.
you shout unlimited power as you...
Okay, so as your lightning strikes down, lightning courses through both of these corpses.
No, I'd shout.
Still holding on, both of them.
That's
Here, I believe in
I have a
you!
flaming lightning tent now.
So you see as this bolt of lightning slams down, racking through the tent, you see part of it get blasted away, lightning coursing through both of these zombies, both of them still standing.
There's probably nothing I can do worthwhile with my bonus action. Does anybody need healing? This guy. Where'd he go? Where's that sound coming
You
from?
can follow the trail of blood.
You look over and you see
There's
blood is
everywhere.
you see blood is pooling out around in the snow, where you see an indent where Sindal is laying down.
There's a single foot hanging out of the snow.
Can you cast Healing Word at a higher level?
You can
still as
cast
bonus
it
action?
only at first level.
Okay, well then I'll do that. Give him 1d4 plus 3 of healing.
I'll take it.
Does it count as you casting the lightning,
5.
the lightning strike again every time?
Plus 5?
Or is you only cast it once?
That's an action.
That's true. You actually could still cast it at a higher level because you casted Lightning Storm last turn. So you could cast it at a higher level. Because you're
level 5.
you can cast it, yeah, if you wanted to.
I don't have to use a spell slot every time I cast it unless I do
No,
that.
like for Healing Word, you can because you didn't actually pass the spell this turn,
Oh.
You're just
so you can bump up Healing Word if you so choose.
Alright, well yeah, I'll do that. So it'd just be an extra d4.
Well, if you're bumping up the second level, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll bump it up to second level. So that's 4, 6, 3, 9.
9 total.
Yes. Don't die on me, no.
Needs to stop resisting.
Next up
Stop
are
resisting.
zombies. Zombies. That zombie stumbling forward. That's actually the only normal zombie left. Yeah. Come back on. Brahm, you're up.
Okay, so I'm going to put as a bonus action my Hunter's Mark on the... How far away is the... Oh yeah, I can reach him. I'm using my crossbows. The ogre. Yeah, I'm going to attack
That's
it.
so precarious. Alright, go ahead and make your attack.
Just even 1 point
24.
It's a hit.
Alright, so what am I...
So, roll 3d6 plus your modifier, so. It's just around this guy.
I turned it into a...
It's a lot more, I know.
So...
That way, but it's kinda
15?
simpler and also.
Yeah.
I
The...
feel like if you're trying to
1d6,
craft something,
2d6,
competitive
3d6.
or
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
Right.
So 15.
So you get the 1d6 for the weapon, 1 for the Crimson Rate, and 1 for the
Hunter's
Mark. Okay. Yeah, so 15.
Natural 20 on the saving throw. Your arrow slamming through it. The arrow piercing through the flesh, coming out the other side, sinking into a nearby tree. You see this burning hole in the center of the zombie, and the ogre is still standing.
Okay.
Go ahead and make your second attack.
Second attack.
We put
Natural
70
20.
Natural 20. Okay, your second shot, piercing straight through the head. Just you see essentially this large hole burn away as the skull, and that was kind of already collapsed from the hut hit before, taking out the second half, just removing the top half of the head as it.
As a reaction, I'm going to make an attack the one next to it.
Okay, so you see as he fires off the second shot, he kind of reaches out his hand with his short sword, just reaches and raises his hand up. As he does, the ogre falling backwards locks in place. You see rigidly, grabs the mace with two hands, goes in and makes an attack. Oh, that's definitely a hit. Go ahead and roll me 2d8.
What just happened?
I can
Some
do
crazy shit.
cool shit. 11.
Yeah, here in Nocturnal we roll on the book.
I know.
They're already button heads.
So, I'm sorry, how much? Did you roll?
11.
Not button heads, button.
I thought you said button.
I thought I could have
Yeah,
said they're already
Also thought I
button
said
heads.
It's just like,
That seems just
Pittsburgh.
Okay, so as this thing stiffly moves forward, brings the club down, slams down into the side of this thing, and it continues down into the ground and just slumps into the snow. Are you moving or doing anything else?
So let's do
no, that's not a
double
No,
check
they're
something.
That's your. All you could really do at this point is move.
Yeah, so I'm fine.
Okay.
Because there's a floor holes that I just
Fenrir,
couldn't do the
you're
fire.
up.
Okay, so that thing next to me is up or
Yeah,
down?
it's
or-
still up.
Okay, what did he do as a reaction? What
So,
did he cast?
all that you saw is that these two arrow
Oh, you
shots,
know.
the first one piercing through the ogre's chest,
Yeah.
burning this hole, was still standing. The second attack removed the top half of its head, and as it started to fall back, it was almost to the ground, and all of a sudden it went rigid. Grabbed the club, came forward, slammed it down into this thing, and then fell limp to the ground. And it's just lying in the
So
laying in the
just
ground. It's just
attacked
black
that
ichor.
creature.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, well then I'll have Lune attack that.
Okay.
Nat 20.
All right.
You got that?
It rolled high enough on its saving throw to stay.
Was that you or the
That's the day.
4d6 then?
Yeah.
Just straight to
I rolled it.
Oh, that was
22. Yeah. Lune sinking her teeth into this undead creature's flesh, kind of piercing through into the armor. You hear this crunch as the creature, Lune, trying to yank this thing down to the ground, and manages to rent itself free from her grip. It's still standing.
I don't like it. Still another. I guess I'll attack it.
Okay, go make your first attack. It's a hit.
Uh,
12, that's definitely. Or 12 points of damage, sorry, I'm done.
Oh.
I forgot to do something else with the stream too. Okay, yeah, your first hit, slamming down into this thing, it kind of leaving itself defenseless as it pulls out the axe and it slams down into the head of this creature, and as your axe pulls out, it slams the ground.
Where is anything within range of?
You can move towards, actually. Yeah, you can get up to one of the ones that's on Korak for your second attack. a hit.
9 points of damage.
Okay, your axe slamming down into this creature's back. It's still standing though. Unless Fenrir's doing something with bonus action.
What else is still like in combat with us?
A few of the armored undead, 3 of those, one of the zombies, and one of the ogres that hasn't been touched.
Okay, what is the ice wall surrounding now?
Just over here. There's just there's one that's in this building that is essentially domed in.
What is it?
It was one of the ones that had a bow.
Do you have an attack left? Still?
No, he did all 3 of his attacks. Or all 2 of his attacks. And the
Why? I was gonna do something with
No, that's not.
correct. Okay,
So,
you're gonna be up after me.
so I pulled the one archer down.
Yep.
And then
Now there's 2 on top of you, and there's a ogre lumbering towards you.
I guess the one that he already dropped his bow.
Yeah, he's currently got 1 grappled.
Right. So I'm just gonna start slashing.
Go ahead and make 2 attacks.
19.
That's a hit.
He doesn't have any type of
No.
so it's called. 3 plus 4 strength, 7 plus 4 rage.
2, 3 rage.
3 rage. So that was
You rolled a 1 plus your 2 for the short sword, or 2 for the long sword, so that's 3. 4 for strength.
10.
Okay. It's first going roll strength.
Yeah, it's great. It was 10 plus 2 is 12.
Okay, your 2 swings slamming into this creature. It's still up. Next up is the 2 that are on Korak are going to continue to swing against Korak. So with advantage, first longsword swing is natural 2. Second is a 21.
21 minutes.
Uh, 8 has 4 points of slashing and necrotic. That's definitely another hit on the grip. He needs to make a Constitution save. Oh no, that's way too many dice. Sorry.
Am I close to you? Yes.
Yeah.
17 on con save.
Okay, that's he saves. And then, but he still takes 8 points of necrotic damage. Halved at 4. And the second one is another hit, another Constitution save.
Very high.
Okay, another 6 points of necrotic damage. The other one, taking back the shot, it's going to take 2 shots against the one that's calling down lightning. See, as it got struck by lightning before. Yeah. Yeah, it saw its 2 shots fail against the angel. It's going to go for the little one. That's a 14 versus
Miss.
armor class. And a 24 versus armor class.
That one.
That blinding one? Warding flare.
Okay. 22 versus armor class.
Now, let me use shield. Isn't that plus 5 me
Mm-hmm.
for AC? So it'll miss.
What's your armor class?
18.
Oh, I thought you only had 17. Okay, yeah, so you,
I finally remembered to use that spell.
So yeah, as you try to warding flare it, The arrow is still coming towards you. You see that it didn't work. And Lily suddenly throws up her hand as the ring that's on her finger glows, and one of the gems that's on it becomes expended, and suddenly it deflects the arrow wide. That one there. It's going to make its 3 attacks against the ice wall. What's the armor class of the wall?
12.
Hit. Hit. Wall takes...
Isn't it blue right now?
6, 12, 18, 29 points of damage. Okay, so it's still up then. So you just see as the ice on the wall begins to splinter and crack around it. That is still up, and that is all of their turns. Aber, you're up.
Okay, I got something. He holds his hammer aloft in a swing motion, brings it down at between the ogre and that weird thing, the small ring,
Mm-hmm.
and with that motion, a flame strike.
Okay. Let's see what your saving throw. So that's definitely a fail, and that is also definitely a fail. Go ahead and roll damage.
Can I usurp some friendship power?
D6s.
1d6.
Surf it.
Here, I'll give you a nice
Friendship power.
I don't have that many d6s, man.
I know, I probably need. Well, no, I have exactly what I need, I think.
Alright.
You should know that number the instant those dice lay flat.
I'm sorry, I'm just not that smart.
How much damage?
It's like a flash, like.
Yeah, it's not. That's a 14. Wait, no.
Take every dice in your bag. 73.
I had these.
You don't add any plus for small
Okay.
damage.
That's just you're right. That's a. Yeah, 14 fire damage.
Okay.
That's on the little side for that.
15 plus.
Plus. That's even worse. Plus an extra 9. An extra 9 radiant
So
damage.
23 plus an additional 10 for your
And
rating.
then an additional radiant. Yeah, 10 radiant damage. on top
So
of that. That's pretty
33
sick.
points of damage. Okay.
Well, the first roll was 5.
This flame strike does
Right.
fire and radiant.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about radiant soul.
Oh yeah.
Radiant soul is extra
So you see as the spectral angel wings flare out a little bit, as suddenly there's a bright flash of light as this pillar of fire comes down on top of this, instantly incinerating this zombie. Chunks of flesh being blasted off the back of this ogre as smoke is rising off of it. It's still up. That's the first time it's been hit yet. That's the first time it's been hit.
You use that yet?
Do you want to move at all?
That's the second time I've used it. No.
Okay. So no.
Dig deeper into the
Yeah, by feeling words.
She's like a fish in the snow.
So I'm gonna just pop my head up. I see that he's about to break out of the ice, right?
Make a perception check. It's pretty far away and you're down in the snow.
I could stand all the way up.
If you want to use half your movement, yeah, you can do that.
I'm gonna stand all the way up to look.
Okay. What's your perception check?
The 14.
14. Yeah, you can see that it's cracking.
Well. I am just going to. He's going to start shooting everybody sooner or later. I'm dropping the wall, and I'm going to just greater invisibility myself.
Okay. So you see as the wall of ice that's around him disappears, and suddenly there's a small spot of blood in the snow as the elf that was standing there disappears. Do you want to move 5
You
feet?
still see the imprint in the snow.
Laying down while invisible.
Yeah. I'm just gonna take 5 minutes aside. Doesn't matter which.
Okay.
Print
The ogre is going to.
He flies.
Off.
I'm just gonna put him under here because you're only 10 feet up. You are in range. He's just gonna go up and go for a slam attack against you. And as it does, it lands in the snow as it rolls a natural 1. As it goes up on tiptoes to try and grab you, and you manage to just flap your wings, kind of putting you up in the air, and it's just enough to throw it off balance as it lands in the snow. And yeah, it doesn't have enough movement to actually stand up. That's the ogre's turn. Zarn, you're up.
He doesn't.
All right. I'm gonna do something silly.
Bring him down, Zar.
Can that tent actually move, or is it nailed completely to the ground?
The tent itself doesn't really have a lot of structural integrity left, seeing as, it's mostly on fire and just burning timbers at this point.
So it's not really a thing anymore?
Yeah, if it moves at this point, it's gonna fall apart.
Can I just crash it down onto the ogre?
As it goes to move, it just collapses.
Okay. So what I do is I'm gonna run over.
Now it's a different truck.
1, 2, 3.
Yay.
I'm gonna touch Fenrir's leg, and I'm gonna dimension door me and him to where the archer are.
Okay. So as
I don't want to go. Feel those.
you Fenrir, as you're engaging with this enemy that's on top of Korak,
Wait,
all of a
there.
sudden,
You guys have
You can't take Lune
No.
too? What are you doing?
Dealing with the archer.
as the two of you suddenly,
He doesn't get
just took him off his dog.
What is Lune's reaction?
Fenrir, just make an acrobatics check.
Aren't you like?
Probably gonna get one-shotted.
Fenrir's gonna be riding Zarn.
That's a 10.
10. Okay, that's just high enough. As you in the seated position with your axe in one hand, suddenly you're still in the seated position in midair as you manage to just barely get your feet underneath you as you land on the ground.
Here's an interesting question though. With my saddle that I have, I technically can't be dismounted.
If you didn't want to go, then you can have stayed because he can't
I'll
teleport.
willingly go.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I just didn't know if I was allowed to go.
right in front of the archer.
I already tried to use my bonus action to make that the tent attack, so I'm gonna use the bonus action to use the 2 arrows and attack too.
Okay. Yeah. Go make 2 attacks against the thing.
Natural 20 and well over 20.
Yeah, that's a hit.
He only crits using inanimate objects.
So the natty T is 7 damage. Natty T. And it's 8 damage for the non-natural 20.
Moving the truck. That's the fucking trash.
Okay, so as the arrows slamming into this thing, resistance to magic damage is just slowly chipping away at it. But
This is what I can do.
Lily, you're up.
Sorry about the surprise, Fenrir. Gotta deal with this guy though.
I'm gonna call lightning on the one that's up on top of that. What section is there?
It's 15 versus your dexterity.
So it beats.
Okay, so that's half damage then.
So would that be 8, right? As it rounded down.
Yeah. Okay, the lightning slamming down, chipping and cracking the stone as it manages to kind of duck out of the way so it's still coursing through it. Do you want to move or do anything else?
I'll start running up towards where all the action is. I'm not hindered by the difference rating. So I get 25.
You're just bounding on
Just skipping beautifully, frolicking.
Like a fox, like how foxes do the little jumps to avoid being tracked, like how they they'll jump through grass. Brahm, you're up.
So I'm going to put my hunter's mark on the prone ogre.
Okay.
And I'm going to attack it with my hand crossbows.
Okay, go ahead and make 2 attacks.
Alright, first one.
Disadvantage when they're burned, isn't it?
It's burning.
Are they attack at disadvantage on burn?
That's why I laid down for him when the archer was shooting.
Let me double check. From
Technically.
attacks against this creature has advantage if they're within 5 feet, otherwise has disadvantage. And I forgot about telling you that beforehand, so you would have disadvantage on ranged attacks versus this thing while it's on the ground.
Hold on, I don't want to attack that thing.
Okay.
I'll attack the, yeah, that one.
Okay.
So, but we'll keep that same roll. So it'll be 16 versus DC.
That's a hit.
Uh, 15.
15, your first shot firing, slaying through the back of the creature's head as it comes through the eye.
Oh, he's dead. Good work. And then I will just attack the next thing I see behind it.
Okay, just go ahead and make your turn.
20.
20, that's a hit. This does not have Hunter's Mark.
That was shit. 1. 6.
You're firing your shot, slams into the side of the creature. Still up. Fenrir. As you land down in front of, land down next to the Zarn, hefting your battle axe, looking up towards this thing, you see it holding a bow and having a long sword at its side. This cloak pulled around it, and you can see as it's standing there, you're having a hard time pinning down. Like, you blink and move, and it seems to be standing in multiple places directly in front of you. What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
Come on down!
Alright.
Too good.
What do I want to do is the question.
Attack him.
I want to just attack. Try to attack.
Okay.
Disadvantage.
Yeah, you're at disadvantage on your attacks.
18.
18, that just hits.
And that is 14. Writes it down.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay, so as your axe slams into it, you see that it staggers, and suddenly that shifting disappears. Your next attack does have disadvantage.
So you're still rolling with advantage. That's only 15.
You go to swing against this one, and it manages to duck out of the way. Correct. Unless you're doing something with your bonus action.
I don't believe so.
Okay, Correct, you're up.
I still have my quarry, the guy I drug off the thing.
Yeah, you're still holding him as the arrow is kind of through the front of his head.
Slash.
Oh no, it's dead.
Oh, that
It's got an arrow through the front of its
Oh.
through the front of its face.
Yeah.
Zarn, you're in there with me, yes?
I'm right beside you.
Alright. I wanted to make
So
sure
I'll just
before I
drop
did
that.
something.
I'll
You
just
got,
drop
you got
it.
your support.
Okay, you
So I
you turn around and there's one directly in front of you.
Ah.
Alright, go ahead and make it 2 attacks.
19.
That's a hit.
It's a plus. I'm gonna get this straight now. He has a plus
7, 8 plus 9.
plus 9. So 12.
Okay. Make your second attack.
Yeah. Unnatural 20.
Okay.
16.
Okay, the 2 slashes slamming down into this thing, wearing it down. It looks barely able to hold itself together. Enemies are up. you see at this point now, after it stumbled from Fenrir hitting it, this thing taking its footing, you see it reach, pull out its long sword, and as it pulls it out, it begins to shuffle around again, harder to pin down exactly where it is. It goes in for 3 attacks: a long sword and a reach against Fenrir, and a long sword against Zarn. Long sword against Zarn is a 27 or so.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's like a triple crit.
I can't be crit rusty.
You take 13 points of slashing and necrotic damage.
Ouch.
Fenrir, the first sword attack against you is a 28 versus armor class.
Nope.
You take 7 points of slashing plus an additional 6 points of necrotic, so 13 total.
The reduction included.
Yeah.
13 total.
Yep. And then the second, the reach attack is a 26 versus armor class. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw. Okay, you take 14 points of damage, and your maximum is reduced by that amount.
Wait, my maximum HP.
Your so you take 14 points of damage,
Okay.
and then your maximum HP is reduced by 14.
Damn.
Okay. So what was the first one? 8 points?
13.
13.
13.
So, okay. So 27 points of damage.
Yep.
My maximum is reduced by 14.
Correct.
How are you doing on HP?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I should be fine.
That's what you need.
So it's his. That was this one. This one. It's gonna go back and try to fire 2 arrow shots at the one that's called the big pillar of fire down in the middle of the room. First shot is totally missed. And the second attack is even lower. Yeah, it's 2 shots. The radiant light coming off it, kind of wincing its eyes away as it shoots, and it misses a barrier. Wait, did I do 2 attacks before? Definitely hit. Just with the advantage, and natural 20. Okay, so for the first hit against Korak, he takes 7 points of necrotic and slashing. And the second hit is 10, 13, 17 halved to math. 8 points of necrotic damage, Constitution saving throw.
One con?
Yeah.
Fenrir teleported.
Yeah.
So 12.
HP is reduced by 8.
And I'll fly 15 feet closer to that guy that just shot me, or yeah, something like that.
Clean.
Or just close enough so he's within range of my channel divinity, radiant dawn.
Okay, so 3 Constitution saving throws. Failed.
That's ridiculous.
Failed. Succeeded.
It does make me think of a priest jumping in wild, just like
Boing, boing, boing. Holding over. Yeah, exactly.
Except he's just flying, so it's a priest flying, holding over.
25 guys, 3 call.
Alright.
Potential error 33. Range of 54 to.
Brain malfunctioning.
30 points of radiant damage.
Okay, these 2 are incinerated by the blinding holy light. The ogre zombie, you see more chunks of flesh beginning to rot and burn off of it. Still up though. Anything else?
I'm at this, right?
Yeah. She's gonna stand up.
Shit.
She's gonna look at the little tiny thing that's in front of it.
Oh
Goes in for an attack.
It's not actually kill me.
Nah, it's not gonna get you. It's only 10 versus armor class.
no! But
It misses. I was gonna say like I jump or duck under it.
So you see as this thing comes running up towards you, it brings his two hands together, going for an overhand slam, and you just manage to just duck out of the way as it slams down into the snow, kicking it up into the air.
An ogre hand slam?
No, I'm not saying that. Zoran, you're up.
Alright, so, did you just skip it?
I did skip you. Sorry.
That's fine, I already
I will cast. Does the ogre still look pretty small? I'm going to that's a concentration as well.
Oh shit! That's a good idea.
I'm going to cast. I know what I was going to do now when I jumbled up because of that. I'm just going to cast a Toll the Dead on the ogre.
So obviously the ogre and the only thing are the only two that are up. Roll the 19.
So that makes it.
It's no damage.
No damage.
Yeah. You all in the silence hear this this bell sound kind of echo out. Brom, you hear it come from behind you. You see the ogre kind of reach towards his head for a second, and it swings, focusing back in on the lead. Now, Zarn, you're up.
I am going to try to move away. Just take a few steps back.
This provokes an attack of opportunity.
The archers?
Reach? Yeah.
Missed me? Or?
No, that's a 27 versus armor
Yeah,
class.
is he close enough for me to use boarding foot?
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. What's the range of warding flare?
30.
You're out of range.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zarin, you take 13 points of necrotic damage. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
That's 13.
13, you would be within range of him, so you would get the plus. So you feel as the hand reaches out, you just take the damage, your HP is not reduced. But yeah.
So I just step back and kind of like put Fenrir between me and him.
Okay.
And I'm going to I cast heat metal. I'm gonna try and walk his weapon out of his hand. He has to make a
My ears
Oh yeah, it totally fails the Constitution saving throw.
Is it Constitution last time?
Yeah.
So it fails Constitution saving throw. It takes 6 points of fire damage. And I don't think he has to drop it immediately, but he can. Or, I think he does drop it.
I don't have the spell in front of me.
Yeah, I forgot the course doesn't go over into the details. Shit. Heat metal.
Lily, you're up
Creatures
next.
holding or wearing an object and takes damage from the creature must succeed a Constitution saving throw or drop the item. So like,
Oh, so it can just choose to just drop the weapon.
yeah.
Okay, so it's just gonna drop it and not take the damage.
And if it doesn't drop it, it has disadvantage on attack rolls.
Yeah, no, it's just gonna drop the weapon.
I think it takes the damage and then the disadvantage it can negate by dropping the weapon. Is the way, because it says the damage start before it says that part.
Time to referee this shit.
Yeah, if the creature is holding or wearing an object and takes damage from it, it must succeed on a Constitution saving throw. So it says it in that word.
Okay.
that.
Okay, so it'll take the damage, but then no, it's just still gonna keep holding on to it. Then it's not gonna drop it.
And I'm going to healing word myself.
Okay.
Next action.
As you do that, you see that it jumping and disappearing and reappearing in different locations. That stops again. Lily, you're up.
What is the reach on the ogre's club?
The ogre doesn't have the club. It threw it before at up air. It is
Perfect.
Good.
I'm gonna cast anti-life shell on myself.
That sounds horrifying.
I don't know how that spell works.
So it's a 10-foot radius, and basically nothing can get inside of it unless it's a ranged attack or a reach weapon. And if he's within 10 feet of me, it pushes him away.
Okay, so as you cast, as you hold out your hand, you see this this glowing green sphere circle out around you, kind of pushing out the snow. As the ogre is not pushed away because it is undead.
Damn it!
Yeah, I was listening to that. I was like,
Anti-life shell.
You want to do anything else?
Oh fuck! I just had such a Marisha moment. Nope.
Okay.
Fuck that.
Brom, you're up.
I'm going to Hunter's Mark the ogre
Okay.
and attack it with
Alright.
my crossbow.
Go ahead and make your 2 attacks. Also keep in mind, you can still do the sharpshooter thing against them, because I know you haven't done that.
Which one was that again?
That's the one where you can take a -5 to your attack before you roll, before you know the result of the roll.
Oh.
You can do a -5 and then add an extra 10 damage
to
if
the
you
damage,
hit.
right.
Yeah.
Nope, good with that. So first attack is going to be a 13.
It's a hit.
Wow.
They're zombies.
Okay, sweet. Alright. Alright. 13. 19.
Okay. Go and roll your second attack.
That's what it feels like.
And then, well, that should succeed at 18.
Yeah.
Okay. 6, 10, 12. So what was that, 19 or 18 plus 12?
Okay. Yeah, so you fire off your 2 shots, both of them sinking forward, slamming into the creature's chest, burning holes into it, but you see that the creature is still standing as the arrows kind of burn away the flesh and fall out of the front of it. Do you want to move?
No, I'm good.
Fenrir, you're up.
Alright, that thing's right in front of me still?
Yep. Okay.
How's it looking?
You've hit it. It's been hit twice.
So is
It looks fine.
it's fine.
I mean, for it being not living.
It looks undead, and it doesn't look particularly damaged so far.
Okay. Tell you what I'll do is how many enemies are left?
2.
What we're gonna do is I'm going to use my bonus action. And is it able to attack anything outside of this wall, or is it closed in?
Oh no, the wall's gone.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So he's just out in the open, and we're the only ones near it?
Yep.
So is he raining hell on everybody right now by attacking? Or is he just attacking?
He was just attacking the 2 of you.
He was
Did
firing
do
arrows at
swords?
everybody else, which is why I brought us close to him, so he could
Yeah.
deal with us.
Okay. In that case, I will cast Hunter's Mark on him.
Okay.
And I will attack.
Okay. Go make your 2 attacks.
16.
16. Your first attack. Shing, parries it aside with a sword.
22.
22 hits.
I
What's this region called?
Wildlands. What are you doing?
is he an undead?
You get the idea, yeah.
Perhaps.
Let me run over here
Alright,
with my
then
anti-life shot
I
and
will
find out.
just. I will second level device.
Okay, so 4d8 plus your control.
Oh, I see. That's a very
He's definitely dead. What should he's supposed to be? He's definitely dead.
Even though you're already dispelled it.
48 plus a d12
Yep.
It's not the point, really.
The double check. Maybe the first spell didn't
Yeah.
work as well.
Why can't I do that?
I got it. It's rusty 12.
16. This is
It's
You
like
can
an
feel
aura
him
fading.
judging. You can feel him judging. Like this.
40 points of damage.
Okay, your axe glowing with this divine radiant light. Your first one's missing, doubling back and coming with a backhand, slamming in through the armor, hitting down into the ribcage. You can hear the sound of ribs cracking as it hits into the creature, and it manages to pull itself away from the axe, still up. And I'm assuming you're not going to move or anything, so.
Correct. The ogre's still up?
Yeah.
I'm gonna run and just bound the sword and just try
So
to strike
is he
it.
throwing down the shield and two-handing?
No, he would not throw it down.
Okay.
I'm just gonna try to just
Okay.
take his leg off.
Go make your attacks.
16.
Go and roll damage.
11.
Still up.
It's 26.
Roll damage.
17.
Okay. Your first swing hitting into like the meat of the leg. The ogre still kind of standing. You, Korak, just pulls it back, goes in, swings even harder into the same area, cutting through the thick tree trunk-like leg right below the hip, managing to cut the rest of the way through it as the ogre loses balance and slams down to the ground. Just snow being thrown up into the air.
It's even more dead than it was before. Doubled.
Next up is this guy's turn. And it's
Does it change from being undead now to dead? And then does it count as a construct now? Because if not, then in my anti-life shell will now push it
anti-life
out.
shell doesn't push dead corpses around.
We should make that clear.
They should make that clear. No,
Yeah, you know what? It sees the shit show that's in front of it, and it's just gonna go for 3 swings against Fenrir. Still has heat metal up, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
What
the
is heat metal?
swings.
You cast a heat mode?
Yes.
Yeah.
Disadvantage.
So
attacks.
first attack was a natural 1. Second attack was a natural 3, and then it's gonna reach out with its hand and attempt to hit you with that. That's a 27 versus armor class.
Okay.
I need to make a Constitution saving throw. You take 6 points of necrotic damage and resist the other effect as the creature does that and shifts around 5, Yeah, seeing the desperation actually is going to sidestep and provoke an attack of opportunity from you, Fenrir.
Oh, what happened?
It's moving away from you, provoking an attack of opportunity.
Okay. Let's see. 27.
It's a hit.
Do I get to use Hunter's Mark with this?
Yeah.
You can Divine Smite too if you want.
That is 17 points of damage.
Okay. For brevity, because it's 8-on-1 at this point.
We butcher it.
Oh, I wanted to.
It's over the course of the next round or two, it is going to just get massacred.
But who gets the winning kill? Figure it out.
Roll off. Nocturnum does it as
There's
a
a
group.
99% chance that Fenrir is gonna kill that.
Hold on.
I was gonna cast Guiding Bolt on him when my turn rolled around.
There's something that I can
You're
do
acting like guiding
when
bolt
something
whatever hits.
when I get an opportunity.
I get to
attack.
roll.
I can't remember what it is.
The first time I used it, I crit.
You can.
Relentless Avenger. When you hit a creature with an opportunity
did happen.
attack, you can move up to
Brutal
half
hole
your
in the
speed
guy's
immediately after the attack as part of the reaction. This movement does not provoke opportunity.
Okay, well, either way, you guys, I'm just breveting the combat here. You guys very quickly, soon after, massacre this. The
I didn't prepare like necrotic damage spells because
so
we're kind of going towards a bunch of undead.
as
Yeah, Blade doesn't do anything to undead, does it?
I don't know. I wondered about that.
I guess Lily's gonna find out.
As
One
quiet
person is.
sets into the camp around you, you see all of you kind of gathering together. You see the man standing off by himself, his short sword and crossbow still flames flickering from them.
So I rub my hand over them and I put out the flames. I sheath my weapons. And I continue to look around the camp for signs of my quarry.
Make a perception check.
16.
16. You take a moment looking around, looking in the direction as you saw them fly off. You see, in the not super far, but far enough in the distance, probably a good 500-600 feet. You see the three forms just continuing to fly eastward towards the Shadow Dales.
What were those things?
Can I see them with my adorable looking goggles
Yeah, make a perception check.
and maybe determine what they actually look like? That would be a 25.
25. So you see these large winged creatures. The actual torso of them, not overly big, but you see the wings probably stretching out to 15-20 feet. The wings just flapping and bending almost excessively for how big that the wings have to be to move to move this form. You see this long tail. The creature's black. It looks like almost skin pulled taut against bone. The creature, you can see two long curved horns coming off the back of its head, and you just see them. And you see as they're flying off, in the claws for where its feet are, you see all three of them are grabbing what looks like writhing zombies. Is it? Continues to fly off out of sight.
Would I know what they are?
Make an Arcana check. Actually, are you proficient in Arcana?
No.
Then you would have no idea.
I don't know what they are. They look really scary.
No, I do not.
So, you guys all find yourselves in the camp. This man went across from you.
Kill them.
I've never seen a magic the way that you use yours. Were you drawing blood from yourself during battle.
So I, kind of a hurried tone, say, I was. And I'm still kind of looking about the camp, inspecting the garb of the creatures that we killed.
Make an investigation check.
It's 12.
12. So you see, looking around very hurriedly, some of the zombies that are here, some of them are the barbarians, but the ones that had the weapons, some of them humans, some of them dwarves, have garb of Sigilstar and Varithma.
So do they look like they were from this area?
No. The barbarians, yes. The other ones look like the garb that they are wearing. They hail from civilized lands.
Can I check out the one that looked like the one me and Fenrir just teleported when I started fighting?
Sure. Make an investigation check.
See what it looks like. See if he has anything. That is a 29.
29. So looking over this human corpse, you can see the sharpened, pointed teeth, the kind of wispy gray hair. Kind of taking a moment and looking over the garb. You do recognize this one. This one is Barrett Rickon.
Motherfucker.
You can see the...
I knew he was going to be a villain eventually.
The ruined tabard of the Silver Flame underneath his garb of Sigilstar. You see the cloak that you noticed before, and you kind of pull it loose and look at it, and you can see it's a deep blue cloak where you can see two tendrils reaching down from the front of it with, at the ends of them, it looks like almost suction cups with points and needles coming off of the end of them.
That seems pretty cool.
And as you kind of move it around, you see that as it moves in ripples, it seems to almost move beyond where you're holding it. It appears that whatever was giving him that effect before, this is what was doing it.
Oh, cool. I'm going to get that identified.
Wait, what? Cloak was doing this?
Yeah, the cloak. His bow wasn't in his version.
Just ring the bell.
I say, I recognize this one. A long time ago, we met him in the inn right outside Varithma. He was the leader of the Silver Flame. These must have been the ones that came south. This was probably a battlefield, and whatever was here resurrected the battlefield. Looks like when the orcs in the force from Varithma and Sigilstar clashed. Perhaps this is the remains of it. At least that's what I would guess.
I wanted to make sure that no other creatures were coming in on us. Just listening, just making sure.
Make a perception check. 16. Listening around, you can hear very distantly, with the howl of the wind coming through this valley, you can hear the shouts and shrieks of sound like goblins. It sounds like they're getting more and more distant. It seems like that something might have been watching you on your way in, but the sudden display of light and fantastic power has scared them off.
I say to the stranger that we don't know the name of, I say, what are you doing here? Were you following those things that did this?
I was hunting them, yes.
Do you know what they are?
I do.
Can you explain them to us? We could possibly help. I think we've proven our might to you, at least.
So I would say might doesn't interest me, and I would. I'm still trying to get an idea of why these things may have been here. Why what I'm hunting was here.
Make an Arcana check with advantage.
Because I know the reason why I've been tracking them. Okay. 17.
17. So, you know what these things are, and you know that they feed and exist off of corpses. So perhaps the recent fresh corpses that were made here drew them to this specific location, and now it seems that they have their food and are flying off.
So I would ask the group, why are you here?
Let's traveling into the wildlands. Heading along the mountains east towards the Shadow Dales.
What business do you have in the Shadow Dales?
Our business is our own.
I can respect that. So I start walking towards the quarry that I was hunting.
So you see him at that point start to walk off towards the east in the direction that the creatures just flew off, in the direction that you were headed for.
Are you intending to kill those creatures alone?
I say yes. I'm still walking.
He's not a very friendly one, is he?
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, maybe we should just let him continue on and just camp for the night.
You know,
If you're planning on going the same direction as us, perhaps we could team up.
I work alone. Still walking.
the goblins don't. They already are watching us.
I'll handle them.
All of
Alright.
them.
Alright.
Jim doesn't like this character, he's re-rolling.
No, this character's great. What are you talking about?
I say, well, suit yourself then. See you later.
Big gulps, huh?
He's going to die if he continues on.
I get that.
I mean, if he wants to go off to his death,
I just
I
heard
don't want him
an
to go, but
I just heard an entire group of goblins who were clearly watching us battle, hoping to scour what was left over of this fight.
alright. I mean, we're going in that direction.
So I hear them kind of talking amongst themselves, and I shout back, might want to settle in before night. It gets a little dicey out here. I'm still walking forward.
We'll be fine.
And Brahm continues walking off.
Yep, I'm tracking things that I know what they are.
What time
that
of
you
the day is
guys don't.
It's pretty close to night at this point. It's probably like 5 or 6 o'clock, which in winter it's pretty dark out.
And the terrain does not hinder me, so I'm actually moving at a pretty good pace.
Perhaps we settle in here and maybe give a proper burial to some of these humans. Here for the night.
So, as you settle in amongst the ruins, kind of pulling together your own tents and using the ruins to kind of build yourself some natural shelter against the wind, kind of pull together some of the corpses and begin to go about.
I think I would see if they have any interesting organs.
Well, yeah, I want to check out the one that was closest to me.
Well, Zarn was the one that rolled the check, and he found the cloak that this thing had.
I would ask you to identify if we're
But between the soldiers that were, as well as the undead, you find about 450 gold pieces, and that's really about it. Besides that, over the course of your identification,
I get rid of temporary. Cloak of displacement. Attunement. While your words cloak projects an illusion that makes you appear to be standing in a place near your actual location, causing any creature to have disadvantage on attacks against you. If you take damage, the property ceases to function until the start of your next turn. This property is suppressed if you are incapacitated, restrained, or otherwise unable to move.
Might hold on to that one.
In the meantime, identifying this and some other things, I wanted to ritual cast Phantom Steed, which is like a ghostly ghost thing. I want to see what it does in the snow.
Everyone gets 75 gold pieces.
so as you finish your identification, as the rest of your group begins to set up camp, you go at the time casting your steed. Your eyes flare open with a spark of arcane energy as you see the snow swirl around and begin to form. As you see a pure white steed, with a saddle, appears long mane falling off to the side as it appears, and all of you see this horse appear out of nowhere as it turns its eyes towards you, its eyes milky white.
So I'm just gonna get on it and ride through the super high snow to see if it works.
I don't know. I will have to read that. But but for the time being, as you guys are setting up your camp for the night, that's where we will go ahead and end tonight's session, and we will pick up from there next week. Guys, if you were watching, hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a really long encounter. It took a lot longer than I was expecting it to. So. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back next week on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Thanks for joining us this one and only time, Tim.
That's right.
Slain by goblins.
I'll be back.
We'll be. We have a Twitter and Facebook. Twitter and Facebook.com/rollperspective. Jim has his YouTube channel. YouTube.com/KeatonJames. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you next Wednesday, my dudes.